Chapter 180. Looking at the ancient godly item in the last chest, Fusher was already scared to the point that he took a few steps back. If it was gold, it would still be fine, but the more he looked at it, the more shocked he became. Sun Fong walked to the last chest and saw that there was a feather fan inside. Sun Fong held onto the feather fan and fanned it towards the abandoned factory. Boom! The entire factory rose from the ground. Fusher was dumbfounded. As Sun Fong fanned the fan again, the factory that rose from the ground suddenly fell down, raising a cloud of dust. When the cloud of dust dispersed, the entire factory had already turned into a thin biscuit. As expected of an ancient godly item, God Leaf Fan. Sun Fong said. Fusher was already scared to the point that he sat on the ground and asked, "Just whose goods did you guys steal?" Voidless Realm. Sun Fong lightly swayed the God Leaf Fan in her hand. Fusher was confused. I have never heard of such a sect before. A big shot that is above aristocratic families. Sun Fong added with a smile. Pooh. Fusher felt that the world was spinning. I have only heard of aristocratic families before, and now, I even stole a big shot that is above aristocratic families. I'm finished. Let me die from the poison, perhaps this kind of death will be painless. Suddenly, Sun Fong's gaze turned cold, and she fanned the God Leaf Fan in her hand towards Death Mage. Fusher, who was at the side, was stupefied. Just what is going on between the two of them? Just a moment ago, they even joined hands to steal. Could it be that sister-in-law is going to take everything for herself? That's why she killed my big brother, but why didn't she kill me? Could it be that sister-in-law took a fancy to my beauty and killed my big brother just to let me take over? Damn, sister-in-law is such a woman. Fusher, will also reluctantly accept your love. Looking at Death Mage, who turned into a shooting star in the sky, a trace of an arc finally appeared on Sun Fong's face. However, in less than a second, the arc disappeared. Because that skeletal hand wrapped around my waist again, and that skeletal face is also getting closer to me. I didn't expect that even an ancient godly item would be unable to do anything to it. Let me faint. But this time, I won't faint. I can even feel my lips. I really want to die. Fusher turned his face away. Big brother is too awesome. I have decided to reject sister-in-law's love and follow big brother's footsteps. Eldest sister-in-law, eldest brother is handsome and confident. You should forget younger brother. Younger brother can't withstand your love. She looked at her sister-in-law hugging her brother's neck as if they were in a passionate kiss. I'm still a child. Is it really okay for you to be like this? Shouldn't he be worried about the revenge of others? In any case, it's good to at least put on an act. It's not like I'm worried anymore. Imperial translation, the taste is not bad. Sun Fong flew into a rage out of humiliation. After being forcefully kissed by a skeleton so many times, how could she not be angry? He raised the God Leaf Fan in his hand again. However, Death Mage immediately grabbed onto her wrist and typed, "This lousy fan is useless against me, you can just be at ease and be my wife." Honey. Since when did I become your wife? You shameless skeleton. However, when he thought about it, wouldn't it be more helpful if he had a deeper understanding of it? At that time, he would know its weakness and kill it in one strike. This idea seems to be pretty good. I don't refute the word wife anymore. Death Mage waved his hand and kept the 15 boxes of betrothal gifts. I definitely have to keep one for myself, and I also have to give some to my master. After all, his honor is so concerned about his subordinate. Although these betrothal gifts aren't anything good, I still have to express my respect and worship towards his honor. Ing family. Right now, with Ing Jingshan in the lead and Ing family's relatives standing behind him, all of them were dressed in gorgeous clothing as they walked out of the city to welcome Ing Jingshan. What was rare was that Ing Kongsha was also within the group. Inkongshir's face was pale and weak, and he already looked like a father-in-law. Little brother, if you are not feeling well, you can rest in the house, big brother will help you. Marquis Ing said with a slight smile. However, in his heart, he was feeling uneasy. The assassin that I sent out yesterday still hasn't returned, most likely, an accident happened to him. Inkongshir sneered, big brother doesn't have to worry, I will take care of my own matters. But, what are you going to do now that you are like this? Marquis Ing said with heartache. Inkongshir tightly clenched his fists. The enmity of my heart being destroyed is absolutely irreconcilable, it is definitely you. At this moment, Ing Xiang slowly walked out from the group. Big brother, the auspicious hour is already over, why isn't the assassin here yet? Ing Jingshan looked towards the distance and said faintly, let's wait for a while more. After around half an hour passed, everyone from Ing family was getting a bit impatient. Setting up such a big formation is already giving a lot of face, but the other party actually didn't even send a single person over. This is going too far. I'm afraid that the Empress already knows about what happened last night, yet she didn't even give us a greeting and told us to wait. She is truly not putting us, Ing family, in her eyes. Ing Shang couldn't hold it in anymore and started scolding. Ing Jingshan wrinkled his brows and called out, go outside and see if there are any abnormalities. Yes. Ing Ho could be seen rushing out with the Imperial Guards. Death Mage, who was currently taking a taxi back to the hotel, sensed Ing Ho's actions, but he didn't take it to heart. The game is more important. Not long after, Ing Ho discovered the corpses of the Voidless Realms people. Just who dares to disrupt the marriage between the two families? That person is going against me, and those who go against me will never have a good ending. When Ing Ho hurriedly went back to report what happened, Ing Jingshan took a deep breath. My youngest son was crippled, the betrothal gift was stolen, and the person was killed. This matter isn't as simple as it seems on the surface. Voidless Realm. Right now, Donghuang Baiji was currently sitting on the purple gold throne and discussing about what happened last night with the 8 elders. Your Majesty, I truly didn't expect that Ing family's second young master would have such a moral character. Subordinate has failed in his duty. Yuan prostrated on the ground and said with an ashamed look on his face. Xing Han said gravely, Your Majesty, although this second young master's moral character is extremely bad, from this matter, it can be seen that someone is trying to disrupt the marriage. The biggest suspect would be Ji family. A bold elder walked out from the crowd and said. His name was He Xian. Donghuang Baiji didn't say anything, she didn't put this matter in her heart. She was only thinking about her daughter's problem. Yesterday, I seem to have hurt her heart. But right now, the betrothal gift has already been sent out, what should we do? Yuan said anxiously, as if his empress was unable to marry a man. Xing Han begged, Your Majesty, Ing family's second young master is unable to be a man, we can only choose someone else. Your Majesty, what do you think? Donghuang Baiji said faintly, You guys can do as you see fit. Everyone was overjoyed. Your Majesty has grown up now, and she knows what is important. Wrong, Donghuang Baiji just gave up. Chapter 181. Revenge. Right now, Donghuang Baiji's mind was filled with thoughts of revenge. However, the original revenge plan was to appear in front of that man from above and let him know what kind of woman he had missed back then, a woman that everyone wanted. It's a pity that you missed it, so don't even think about getting it again. Right now, Donghuang Baiji's mind was filled with Yi Hua's emotionless face. Report. A guard ran into the hall at top speed. What is it? Donghuang Baiji asked coldly. I just received news from Ing family, the betrothal gifts that were sent over to Ing family. The Imperial Guard didn't dare to say anything, because such a thing had never happened before. Did he fall into the water? Yuanda asked in a deep voice. Xing Han asked curiously, you fell into the river. He Xian was speechless. May I ask what's the difference between the two? The winner is on the sea, and if he falls, he will fall into the sea. Yuan De and Xing Han looked at He Xian at the same time. Dare I ask you, what's the difference? The betrothal gifts have been stolen. Everyone was killed. As the guard revealed the truth, the entire palace instantly quietened down. Even the sound of a needle dropping on the floor could be heard clearly. He actually dares to snatch Voidless Realms things, and after snatching them, he even killed all of them. This slap didn't hurt, but it was very loud. Dong Huang Baiji immediately burst out with fierce killing intent, and her tones seemed to be able to freeze the air. Who did this? The guards were all frightened by the Empress's aura. No. I don't know. Yuan De cupped his hands and said, Your Majesty, this matter must be related to last night. As long as we capture those two girls, the truth will come to light. Remember. No one is allowed to trample on the Donghuang family. Donghuang Baiji shouted out gravely. Who would be able to stop a woman with such an imposing aura? Yes. The 8 old men shouted in unison. Just as the 8 old men were about to leave, a maid hurriedly ran in. Seeing this maid, Donghuang Baiji's brows tightly wrinkled. This servant greets your majesty. Donghuang Baiji had a bad feeling. What's going on? His Highness, what's wrong with her? Donghuang Baiji's beautiful eyes widened, and a powerful pressure burst out from her body, causing the entire palace to tremble. This was even more terrifying than before. His Highness has disappeared. Donghuang Baiji clenched her fists tightly and shouted out angrily, Stop everything. Bring Ali back for me. Yuan De hurriedly said, Your Majesty, His Royal Highness must be playing around and hiding somewhere. I will order some people to look for him. An invisible hand instantly grabbed Yuan De's neck, and his whole body was suspended in the air. I'll say it again. Everyone, go and find Ali. Those who disobey will be beheaded. Donghuang Baiji frowned, her beautiful lips were slightly trembling, and her beautiful eyes were like flames. Ali was her lifeblood. Without Ali, she would have died a long time ago. With a casual fling of his hand, Yuan De crashed into the side of the palace like a cannonball. Listen up, all of you. There are some things that are not up to you all to decide. Donghuang Baiji shouted out gravely, then disappeared from the palace and arrived at her daughter's courtyard. The remaining 7 elders didn't dare say anything else. The Empress' fury this time was inconceivable to all of them, but it had also indirectly taught them a lesson. In the end, they were only subordinates. Don't forget who you are. Right now, Donghuangli had long left Voidless Realm and appeared at the desert outside. Under the scorching sun, a small figure was silently walking on the desert. While throwing a small stone, the figure said with a childish voice, Mother will be happy if Ali is gone. Wiping off the sweat on her forehead, Donghuangli raised her head and looked at the sun. So hot, if it rains right now, it would be great. Boom, 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 thunder actually sounded out in the clear sky. A black cloud suddenly appeared, and a violent wind and heavy rain instantly fell down. Donghuangli was stupefied, and she immediately felt very dizzy. She closed her eyes and held onto her head as she ran madly. Ali doesn't want the rain anymore. Ali wants to leave this desert. By a little Ali went into a daze. The rain seems to have stopped. Where am I? There is a road, there is also a prairie. But Ali's head feels very dizzy. I can't take it anymore. Ali is going to faint. Little Ali was finally unable to resist the dizziness and fell onto the roadside. At this moment, a godly chariot came over from afar. Big brother. Quickly look at the roadside, there is a person. The young man who was sitting on the front passenger seat said, and his head was dyed red. The big brother who was driving the car was the same as well, just that, it wasn't red, but red. From the looks of it, the two of them should be from the same family. After parking the car at the roadside, the two of them took a look at Ollie, who had fainted. "Big brother, what should we do?" "What else can we do? Why are you so stupid? Bring her onto the car." As the big brother, he felt very pained at why his little brother was so stupid. This little girl couldn't have gotten lost, right? After carrying Dong Huangli onto the car, the little brother asked curiously. The big brother lit up a cigarette. "It should be. Let's ask the little girl when she wakes up. I reckon that her parents are quite anxious right now." "Big brother, you are such a good person, I admire you so much." The big brother couldn't help but give the little brother a head explode. "Are you stupid? This girl is dressed gorgeously, she definitely isn't a child from an ordinary family. If we were to find her parents, wouldn't her parents give us a reward?" The little brother immediately came to a realization, then raised up his thumb. Big brother is wise. This little brother is completely convinced. Learn more. Yes, yes, yes. Not knowing how long had passed, Dong Huangli faintly woke up. Rubbing onto her head, Dong Huangli said with a childish voice, "Ollie, where is this?" The two young men in front were startled, then immediately stopped the car at the roadside. "Little friend, you woke up?" the big brother asked with a smile. Ollie pursed her lips. "Uncle Green, hello, big brother." The little brother slapped onto his thigh and laughed loudly. "Uncle Green, ha." The big brother stretched out his hand and slapped onto Ollie's thigh. "What do you guys know? This is the most popular color this year." Ollie sat on the car obediently and sized up Ollie with her big eyes curiously. "Little friend, what is your name?" Big brother Green asked with a smile. "Uncle Green, my name is Ollie." The little brother's thigh was almost swollen from the slap. "Why is Uncle Red crying?" Ollie asked curiously. Big brother Green said with a smile, "Uncle Red's wife made him a cuckold." Dong Huangli was confused. The red-haired little brother went into a daze for a moment, feeling that something was wrong. "Ollie, where are your daddy and mommy?" Big brother Green asked. "Such an adorable little girl, I have to quickly return her to her parents' side so that I can earn some money." Ollie pouted her small mouth. "I hate them." The green and red duo sighed. "It seems like she ran away in a fit of pique. This kind of little friend should be fine after coaxing her a bit." The red-haired little brother wiped onto his tears. "Ollie, what you are doing is wrong. Your daddy and mommy must be very worried about you." They wouldn't be worried about Ollie. While speaking, Ollie's eyes became red. Chapter 182. "Yes, thank you, Uncle Green." Ollie rubbed her eyes. This was the first time she had eaten a lollipop, and it felt great. While eating, Ollie felt very hungry. Embarrassed, he said, "Uncle Green, Uncle Red, Ollie is hungry." "No problem. What do you want to eat?" Ollie pursed her lips. Ollie wants to eat McDonald's. The big brother and the little brother looked at each other. This McDonald's was not cheap, but as long as they took good care of this little devil, they would definitely be able to recoup the cost. Not only did they recoup their costs, but they could also make a huge profit. Right now, the most important task was to go to the city. The surrounding counties were all small and couldn't satisfy the little ancestors' requirements. "Big brother, the journey to the city is very long, we have to refuel." Little brother Red took out his wallet, and within the wallet, there was only a single red banknote and a few shriveled up 5 renminbi, 1 renminbi, etc. Big brother Green made up his mind. If you don't sacrifice the child, you can't catch the wolf. This time, he put in a lot of effort. He took out his wallet and handed it to his underling. "Give me some money." When he opened the wallet, he saw 5 red notes inside. Little brother Red exclaimed, "You borrowed 50 yuan from me this morning. You actually have 500 yuan. Is that so? I might have forgotten. Big Brother Green was a bit embarrassed. Along the way, he added 200 yuan to the gas tank and instantly regained his confidence. He charged all the way to the city. Dong Wangli leaned on the window of the car and curiously sized up the steel city. Dong Wangli's gaze was filled with curiosity. The outside world is much better than Voidless Realm, there are all sorts of strange things here. The two people who were driving also looked around curiously. The way the people in the city dressed was so old-fashioned and not classy at all. They should learn from us and dye their hair in bright colors. Only then would they be able to attract the opposite sex. All the girls in the village were stunned. Wherever he went, he would be the center of attention, even in the city. After parking the car, the Green and Red brothers got out of the car. This immediately caused a commotion, and all the young men and women passing by looked towards them. Big Brother Green said proudly, "I told you to dye your hair green, but you didn't listen. Look at the people in the city, they are all dumbfounded. Big Brother, I feel that they are looking down on us." Little Brother Red felt that there was something wrong with the way the people in the city were looking at him. Big Brother Green clicked his tongue. This is jealousy. If I spun Thomas, I would definitely blind their eyes. Wow, is this McDonald's? It's exactly the same as the picture. Little Ollie jumped out of the car and looked at the McDonald's in front of her. Her big eyes were full of amazement. However, when little Ollie appeared, the eyes of the people on the street became even more curious. Two non-mainstream people with such a cute child, could they be human traffickers? However, seeing that the child was bouncing around, it didn't seem like he was threatened. Instead, the two non-mainstream people had bitter expressions on their faces. The three of them walked into the restaurant. McDonald's business was very good. They even had to queue up. Ollie, I want to go and line up. Dong Wangli was very polite and did not cut the line. Dong Wangli stood behind a big sister, and that look of anticipation on her face caused everyone in the shop to have the urge to hug her. The Green and Red brothers were like bodyguards, waiting for the payment. After queuing for more than 10 minutes, it was finally little Ollie's turn, but the platform was too high, little Ollie couldn't see it. Uncle Green, Ollie can't see. Ollie turned around and looked at Big Brother Green pitifully. Big Brother Green let out a sigh, and carried the little ancestor on his shoulder. Wah, so many delicious food, I want a McFlurry, I want a cola, I want a spicy chicken burger, I want a lot of chicken wings and drumsticks, and also chicken rolls, and also corn cups, and also, looking at the cashier who was quickly tallying the food, little Brother Red couldn't help but look at his wallet, then looked at his big brother. Big Brother Green let out a breath and let the little ancestor eat first. When her parents find out that the two of us treat her so well, they will definitely give us more money. Very quickly, little Brother Red carried the food onto the table. Dong Wangli was already impatient, and she was wolfing down the food. If Dong Wang Baiji were to see her daughter eating like this, she would definitely teach her a lesson. Ollie, after you finish eating, let's go and look for Daddy and Mommy, okay? Big Brother Green said with a light smile. The two of them only asked for a cup of cola, because they couldn't bear to part with the cola. The cola inside the restaurant is very expensive. Right now, the most important thing is to feed the little ancestor until she is full. Dong Wangli was already mesmerized by the food in front of her, and she said casually, "All right." Hearing that Dong Wangli agreed, the two brothers let out a breath of relief. This little ancestor really can't afford it. Half an hour later, little Ollie rubbed onto her stomach. Ollie is full. Green and Red brothers looked at the leftovers on the little ancestor's stomach and wondered how she managed to stuff all the food into her stomach. However, it's fine as long as she is full. Ollie, let's go and look for Daddy and Mommy right now, okay? Big Brother Green said while enduring the pain in his heart. Just this one meal alone cost us an entire month's worth of expenses. Dong Wangli pouted her small mouth. Ollie doesn't want to go back. Pfft. If you don't want to go back, how are we going to collect the money from you? Little brother Red hurriedly persuaded. Ollie, if you don't go back, Daddy and Mommy will be worried. Dong Wangli remained silent. Will Mother be worried about me? She shouldn't be worried, after all, she doesn't like Ollie anymore. Ollie is so sad. Thinking up to here, Ollie cried. What the hell, just what is going on? Green and Red brothers were immediately stupefied, and there were already a lot of people who were looking towards Ollie's direction. Little ancestor, don't cry, the ones who are going to cry are us. Uncle Green, Uncle Red, Ollie has troubled the two of you. Ollie can just leave by herself. Dong Wangli wiped away her tears, then jumped down from the stool with a dispirited look on her face. Right now, it wasn't a question of whether he would cause trouble or not. He had already invested, and he couldn't let it go to waste. The Green and Red brothers immediately followed. Ollie, you are thinking too much. How could it be troublesome? Big brother Green squeezed out a smile and said. Ollie choked a few times and suddenly thought of Aunt Ching. Aunt Ching even said that she wanted to bring me out to play. I might as well go look for Aunt Ching. Ollie wants to go back. Damn, the little ancestor has finally thought it through. That's great. Big brother Green hurriedly asked, Ollie, where do you live? Long and City. Dong Wangli remembered that Aunt Ching had said before that she was staying at a bar in Long and City. Hearing this name, the Green and Red brothers were dumbfounded. They had never heard of this name before. Let's check where this Long and City is. I feel that it shouldn't be too far away. Big brother Green said joyfully. At the very least, I should be able to get 1,000 RMB as a token of gratitude, right? Little brother Green took out his phone and searched for Long and City. Very quickly, the results came out. Big brother, straighten out your tongue for me. This Long and City, what's the matter? Long and City is 3,000 plus km away from here, and it is in the south, 3,000 plus km. Big brother Green was simply about to spurt out blood. The toll fee and the gas fee is not a small amount. Little brother Red said in a low voice, Big brother, how about we just forget about it? This is not worth it at all. Big brother Green let out a heavy sigh. Right now, I have already invested close to 400 RMB. If I were to give up halfway, then all of it would be gone to waste. Chapter 183. I still have a card here. There is 5,000 RMB inside. It is enough for us to go to Long and City. Big brother Green could be seen taking out a bank card. Little brother Red was stupefied. Big brother, does that mean that out of your 5,000 RMB, 4,900 RMB is mine? Big brother Green patted his younger brother's shoulder. Don't worry about these details. As long as we complete this business, we will be rich. Big brother, let's break up. What the F***, drive the car and go to the bank to withdraw money first. Big brother Green slapped the car. Brother, I don't have a driver's license. This big city is not like the countryside. I told you to get a driver's license, but you didn't listen. Didn't all the money go to your place? Little brother Red said while feeling wronged. I'm doing this for your own good. I'm saving it for you to marry a wife in the future. Dong Wangli, who was standing at the side, thought to herself, Uncle Green and Uncle Red must not have it easy for them. I will definitely repay them properly. However, the thing that Big brother Green was most proud of in his entire life was the fact that he was able to save Dong Wangli. Driving to the bank, Big brother Green ran to the ATM machine. However, he didn't expect that all of the ATM machines were out of cash, so he could only go to the counter to withdraw money. However, there were a lot of people inside, so he had to queue up. Remembering that he wasn't in the parking lot, he ran back to the counter and said, Watch out, I'm going to withdraw money. If the traffic police come, inform me immediately. Little Brother Red nodded his head, then began to be vigilant. If I were to be given a ticket, then the gains would not make up for the losses. I heard that there are all sorts of tickets in big cities, and I heard that if I were to randomly park my car in the countryside, I would be giving out all sorts of tickets. When Big Brother Green walked into the bank, he immediately attracted the attention of the security guards. This fellow had a bad face. While waiting in line to get the ticket, Big Brother Green was very depressed. He took out a cigarette and lit it up. The people around him looked at him with disdain. Little Brother Red, who was outside, looked around. Suddenly, from the rear-view mirror, Little Brother Red saw a police motorbike driving over, and the police motorbike had already started to collect the tickets. Immediately, Little Brother Red's expression changed as he hurriedly opened the door, got off the motorbike, and ran towards the bank. Upon rushing into the bank, Little Brother Red immediately saw that lump of dazzling green hair, then shouted out loudly, "Big Brother, the police are here." Following Little Brother Red's explosive shout, everyone in the hall went into a daze. After remaining silent for a second, the hall instantly burst into screams. "It's a robbery!" Big Brother Green was shocked. He immediately stood up and pulled his little brother along as he ran. "What are you waiting for? Quickly run, it's a robbery." The two of them quickly ran out of the bank, only to see the security behind them rushing over. "Don't run, catch them." Big Brother Green was dumbfounded. "Why did you catch me? Are you crazy?" However, when he saw the look in the eyes of the two traffic police officers, Big Brother Green instinctively wanted to run. He had fought many times in the countryside. After getting into the car, Big Brother Green immediately drove the car away. The two traffic policemen behind him were stunned for a moment, and immediately started chasing after him with their sirens. "And report to the command center." Dong Huangli, who was sleeping at the back, was also woken up by the commotion. While she was drowsily rubbing her eyes, Dong Huangli heard the sound of police sirens coming from the back. Opening the window to take a look, Dong Huangli raised her small hand and shouted out, "Hello, police uncle." The faces of the two traffic policemen behind them changed drastically. There was actually a little girl waving her hand for help. These two were not only robbers, but they also kidnapped hostages. Big case. Big Brother Green snorted coldly. "In the countryside, I'm the racing god of Mount Dongming. If you can see my taillights, you win." "Brother, calm down. We're being chased by the police." Big Brother Green said in a deep voice, "To be a person, one must have the heart to win, otherwise, what's the difference between you and a salted fish?" Big Brother. Little Brother Red was about to cry. To be honest, Big Brother Green's driving skills were indeed not bad, or perhaps it should be said that his luck was off the charts. He actually managed to get rid of the police. After stopping the car outside the suburbs, Big Brother Green saw that his little brother was very quiet. "Don't worry, this is all a misunderstanding. Let's listen to some music and relax our mood." Big Brother Green patted onto his little brother's shoulder and said consolingly. Then, he turned on the radio. "Right now, an important news is being broadcasted. At 3 p.m. today, two men who were dressed strangely attempted to rob and even kidnapped a little girl. The two men were discovered by two traffic policemen who were on duty, and a chase started in the city. The suspects' driving skills are outstanding, and they managed to escape from the chase. The police have already issued an arrest warrant, and the suspect is driving a Wuling Hongguang. The license plate number is ***********************************************************************************************************************************่**************************************************************************************************************̈ The two men are considered to be dangerous. The old drivers who were listening to the news were all greatly astonished. F***K, what a godly car. Awesome. Please acknowledge me as your teacher. To actually use a Wuling Hongguang to escape. What a talent. Right now, the car was completely silent. Dong Wangli said in a low voice, "Uncle Green, Uncle Red, let's surrender." Two streams of tears flowed out from little brother Red's eyes. In the morning, I went out in high spirits, and in just a few hours, I became a wanted criminal. Big brother Green silently took out a cigarette. Surrender. Even if he had to turn himself in, he had to send little Ollie home safely. Ollie, don't worry, Uncle Green will definitely send you home. Big brother Green flicked away the cigarette butt in his hand, and said in a deep voice. Looking at his big brother who was on the left, little brother Red suddenly felt that his big brother's entire body was emitting a golden light, just like a monk who had descended to the mortal world. Go and get the car plate number, we will take the village road to the south. Big brother Green was still very smart, they definitely couldn't use the highway and the national highway now. Big brother, please accept my bow. Big brother Green was very gratified. We will live and die together. Can you send me home first? I'm scared. Big brother Green raised his hand and slapped, look at you. After taking down the car plate, Dong Wangli continued on her way. Dong Wangli felt that she was a disaster. Her mother doesn't even love her, yet, when she goes out, she still harms others. Uncle Green, Uncle Red, Ollie has let you two down. Dong Wangli said while choking with sobs. Little brother Red said with a slight smile, Ollie, don't worry, compared to us, your daddy and mommy are even more anxious. Dong Baiji was indeed very anxious. The anger of an empress is not a joke. In just a short period of time, the empress turned the entire voidless realm upside down. Right now, I can be sure that my daughter is no longer in voidless realm. The outside world is so big, and Ollie is not even 3 years old yet, if something were to happen to her. Dong Baiji didn't dare to continue thinking about it, and tears of regret flowed out from her eyes. I was too strict with my daughter. Soon after, Dong Baiji gave an order to the entire voidless realm to find Ollie at all costs. However, everyone in voidless realm was curious about one thing. Who is this Ollie? No one knows who spread the news, but this Ollie is called Dong Wangli, and she is the Empress's daughter. This news shocked everyone in voidless realm. The Empress actually has a daughter, and no one knows about this matter. If that is the case, who is Dong Wangli's father? Who is the Empress's husband? Illegitimate daughter. Everyone realized the seriousness of this matter. Dong Wang family is going to have to bear the blame of everyone, especially the Empress. Ever since the Empress ascended to the throne, she had always been the synonym of holy and dignified. Right now, an illegitimate daughter appeared, and this image of Dong Wang family immediately collapsed. Not only the Empress, the entire voidless realm is going to be implicated, and the entire voidless realm might even be pulled down from the altar. The 5 influential families in the north are eyeing voidless realm covetously. How could Dong Baiji not know about the consequences? However, so what? In this life, I am only living for Ollie. Without Ollie's fame, what's the use? I have already endured for 3 years. Let the world know then. I, Dong Baiji, have a daughter. Her name is Dong Wangli. Chapter 184. Dong Baiji was a single mother who had to endure enormous pressure to give birth to her child, and because of that, she had no choice but to lock her child up. Only Dong Baiji herself knew of that kind of pain. How could it be that Dong Baiji didn't want her daughter to enjoy the happiness that people of the same age as her? However, for the sake of the entire voidless realm, Dong Baiji had to endure it time and time again. However, Dong Baiji couldn't endure it anymore. The pressure in his heart completely exploded. Whoever dared to make irresponsible remarks behind his back, he would kill them. For the time being, this news was only spread within voidless realm. However, not long from now, this news would spread throughout the entire cultivation world. You, the second young master of the Ying family, are a fart in the eyes of the eunuch. Even the empress has an illegitimate daughter, yet you're still covering the sky and covering the earth in search of her. Comparatively speaking, Yi Hua's current situation was actually quite miserable. He had to take photos like a robot, and he had to wear all kinds of smiles. He even had to listen to the words of a photographer. Don't you think it's infuriating? If it wasn't for the fact that he could hug this silly woman, he would have quit long ago. But then again, Qinya, who was wearing a wedding dress, was truly beautiful to the point of exploding. Yi Hua decided that in this lifetime, he would properly collect this woman and let her accompany him until the end of time. However, when Yi Hua thought about how he had to film till night time, he almost couldn't hold it in anymore. On the other hand, Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi weren't so particular about their attire. The two of them were lying on a bench on the beach. The older one was wearing a sexy bikini, and the younger one was wearing a cute bikini. While drinking fruit juice, the two of them were enjoying the gazes of countless people. Yi Zizi hugged onto her teddy bear and said in boredom, "Big sister Qing, let's find something to do. It's so boring. We have already been sitting here for so long, and not a single master came to provoke us. What else can I do?" Qing Yutong, who was wearing sunglasses, let out a long sigh. "I am already dressed so sexily, and yet, there is actually no reaction at all. Could it be that all of them knew that I was digging a pit for myself, and all of them are extremely smart?" Yi Zizi smiled mysteriously. "Sister Qing, Zizi has a good idea." "What good idea?" "Do you still remember the conversation between the two men this morning? We trampled on a big shot last night, and he even sent people to kill us yesterday." With regards to the assassin from last night, Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi had a tacit understanding. Qing Yutong naturally knew that Yi Zizi was not an ordinary person, and to be precise, all the people that were by her brother-in-law's side were not simple. Similarly, Yi Zizi also knew that Qing Yutong was not an ordinary person. Qing Yutong nodded her head. "I remember, that assassin was really stupid. He had simply lost the face of the assassin world." Big sister Qing, I am not talking about assassins. Then what is it about?" "Sister Qing is so stupid. Let's go and find that idiot from yesterday." Yi Zizi already had a plan. It would definitely be fun. If it wasn't fun, it would be free. Qing Yutong came to a sudden realization, then hugged onto Yi Zizi. "My Zizi is really too smart. Woo woo woo, I'm going to suffocate to death." The surrounding people were dumbfounded. They really wanted to turn into a little Lolita and be pressed into the arms of a beautiful woman. Then, quickly think of a way. How are we going to get caught? Qing Yutong was already impatient. This is so exciting. Yi Zizi looked at Qing Yutong's development, then looked at her own, and felt that it was so unbalanced. Don't look anymore. When you grow up, it will definitely be turbulent. Qing Yutong pinched the little fellow's face. She was completely unaware that Yi Zizi could only grow to this size, and her words were a bit hurtful. Yi Zizi pursed her lips and became unhappy. "Big sister, give me a kiss." Many men walked with their backs bent, some sat down awkwardly, and some looked up at the sky. A child's temper came and went quickly. "Big sister Qing, let's go to sea." "Good idea, let's go out to sea." Finished speaking, the two rented a luxurious yacht and went out to sea. After that, the yacht stopped at the surface of the sea and waited for people to come and catch them. While lying at the front of the yacht, Qing Yutong was a bit sleepy. "Zizi, we have already waited for an hour, and we still don't see anyone coming. The sun is about to set." Yi Zizi also felt that this was not a solution. These people are all blind, and the beautiful woman is already sending herself to our doorstep. A formless aura collided onto the outside of the barrier, causing the seawater within the barrier to surge, and the seawater actually formed into a huge wave that rushed towards Ying family who was on the island. When the members of Ying family who were in the middle of a meeting felt the tremble of the barrier, their expressions changed greatly. Even the barrier did not tremble at all. I didn't expect that the barrier would be so violent today. Jingshan brought everyone and flew out of the meeting hall, and they could only see the huge wave that was 100 meters tall rushing towards them. This kind of situation caused everyone's scalp to go numb. Of course, they were only surprised that the sea that had not moved for 1,000 years actually gave rise to a huge wave. Ho could be seen standing out, pushing both of his palms outwards, then shouted out loudly, "Protect!" All of a sudden, the surging huge wave slowly subsided, and the entire sea regained its calmness once again. Jingshan felt that something was amiss. Too many things had happened in these 2 days, and every single thing was targeted at Ing family, and right now, it even caused the barrier to tremble. Go out and take a look. Yes. Xiang smiled, then stood out from the group. Uncle will go and take a look with you. Then I will have to trouble Uncle. Ho cupped his hands. He was very polite. After all, if he wanted to obtain the support of Ing family, then he had to satisfy the appetite of these members of Ing family. Yi Zizi yawned. Just now, I controlled my strength well. If I had used a bit more strength, that barrier would have been broken, and if the power did not disappear, the people inside the barrier would have died, and that would be meaningless. Suddenly, more than 10 figures appeared out of thin air. Yi Zizi was overjoyed. Big Sister Qing, they are here, they are here. Qing Yutong, who had already fallen asleep, cried out in surprise, Where? The two of you should at least give me some face. The other party is someone who is flying in the sky. As a girl, shouldn't you be surprised? At the very least, you should open your mouth wide and point at the sky and shout monster, and not put on an excited look. Big Sister Qing, pay attention to your acting skills, you are too exaggerated. Looking at Yi Zizi, who had a frightened look on her face, she had even shrunk into a ball. Qing Yutong had also just woken up and did not react to what was happening. Now that she reacted, she immediately hugged onto Yi Zizi. Her entire body was trembling, and her beautiful eyes were filled with fear. However, the depths of her eyes were filled with excitement. Those two girls are very similar to the ones that Lu Bai described. Xiang smiled, then gradually flew towards the yacht and landed at the front of the yacht, sizing it up curiously. Ho revealed out his killing intent. The assassin that went missing yesterday is already very vexing. Although I don't know if it is these two girls or not, looking at their appearance and age, they are similar to the ones that were described yesterday. If Uncle did not follow me out just now, I would be able to silence them, but now, it would not be good for me to do so. Who are you two? Qing Yutong's acting skills immediately went on, and while protecting Yi Zizi who was in her embrace, she asked in fright. Xiang finally understood why Nephew Kong invited them. They are indeed beautiful. The big one is sexy, and the small one is cute. They are truly not bad. Don't be nervous, I just want to ask you two a question. Xiang revealed out a gentle smile. If only Nephew did not follow me out, I would have captured the two girls and brought them back to be slaves. Wouldn't that be very relaxing? Chapter 185. This little loli was so cool. She was so pitiful. Don't be afraid, Uncle is not a bad person. What Uncle wants to ask is, last night, did you two drink with a man and then help him extinguish the fire? Qing Yutong immediately revealed out a hesitant look. However, when this kind of look fell into the eyes of the cunning Xiang, there was no need to think too much to know that it was them. However, Yi Zizi had to display the performance that a little girl should have. Uncle, last night, big sister and I helped a big brother extinguish the fire. Can you let us go now? Yi Zizi shouted out in fear, vividly acting out the inner monologue of a little girl. Qing Yutong, who was at the side, felt that Yi Zizi could become a child star. Ho tightly wrinkled his brows. Are these two women invited by Jiu Yi? Looking at their expressions, they don't seem to be, they are just two ordinary women. However, you don't know anything about their strength. Ing Xiang bent down, and Qing Yutong, who was hugging onto Yi Zizi, immediately retreated in fear. As expected of a movie empress, her acting skills are off the charts. Don't come over. I'm calling the police. Ing Xiang straightened his body and said, I'm afraid that the two of you will have to come with me. There are some things that I have to clarify. Ing Xiang could be seen waving his hand, and Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi floated in the air. Yi Zizi instantly fainted. Qing Yutong felt that Yi Zizi's acting skills were a bit exaggerated. At the very least, fainting after being shocked would be more realistic. Look at me. What's wrong? How can I fly? Put me down, quickly put me down. Qing Yutong, who had a flustered look, tilted her head and fainted. Ing Xiang laughed. These two women stomped on my nephew Kong until he exploded. I really have to give it to them. Ing Ho remained silent. He was still a bit worried. A group of sheep brought along 2 wolves and returned to the sheep pen. The sheep were still too young, or rather, not all sheep were as lucky as those in the anime. After passing through the barrier, Ing Xiang immediately brought Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi to the hall to receive the trial. Yi Zizi, who was in a coma, didn't expect that she would encounter so many delicious food. Eating one was equivalent to eating 10,000 people. However, for the sake of fun, Yi Zizi continued to pretend to be unconscious. Sometimes, it is quite interesting to tease the enemy, letting them be eaten while in despair. Haha, I am truly a genius. It's them. Ing Jingshan asked gravely. Ing Ho said in a deep voice, I'm not sure yet. I'll have to wait for my brother to come and confirm it. Wake them up and put the robe on them. Nowadays, the girls in the secular world are becoming more and more shameless. When Ing Jingshan went out to train in the past, which girl dared to dress like this? After draping a robe over Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi, Ing Ho woke them up. The two of them sat up in a daze. The confusion on their faces was a perfect match. After a while, they glanced at each other before hugging each other and shivering. If this scene was to be seen by Yi Hua, his buttocks would definitely be smacked into mush. Who would tease their enemies like this? Don't you know that they are in despair right now? Be merciful and grant a painless death. The members of the Ying family didn't expect to see 2 girls like them. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that they didn't even have the strength to truss up a chicken. Ing Jingshan would never have thought that his own son was destroyed by them. How was this possible? The main hall was completely silent. Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi did not speak as they quietly waited for their father-in-law to enter the main hall. Although the two of them did not speak, they were sizing up the two of them. The middle-aged man should be the boss, and the young man standing behind the boss should be the son. Then, what is the identity of the person who was stomped on? Lu Bai could be seen supporting Ing Kongsher as they walked into the main hall. Ing Kongsher was limping, and when he saw the 2 figures in the main hall, he recognized them with a single glance. I'm going to kill you too. Even if the 2 of them turned into ashes, Ing Kongsher would still be able to recognize them. My roots were broken by them. Ing Jingshan frowned, and a barrier appeared around Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi. The pitiful Ing Kongsher was forced back a few meters and sat on the ground. His injuries were affected, causing his entire body to distort. Soon after, Ing Kongsher looked at his father in disbelief. Father, let me kill them. Right now, he no longer had any face left to speak of. Ing Kongsher kneeled in front of his father and begged. Ing Kongsher shouted out gravely, I still have something to ask. Father. Shut up. Ing Jingshan shouted out coldly. Ing Kongsher remained silent and stood up silently. Looking at the 2 women in the main hall, he wished he could hang them up and use a whip to whip them and listen to their screams of pain. Yi Zizi felt that it was time for her to perform. Don't come over, big sister. I'm scared. Yi Zizi looked at Ing Kongsher as if she was looking at a devil, then leaned onto Qing Yutong's body. Qing Yutong immediately understood. You bastard, you don't even let off a child. Qin Yutong portrayed the image of a big sister very well. Not afraid of power, and at the same time, protecting her little sister. Upon hearing the two's narration, Inkongsher more or less understood what was going on. All of them sighed and shook their heads. Meanwhile, Inkongsher almost vomited blood. It's obviously you two. It's you two who broke my roots, and now, you two actually dare to bite back at me. Father, don't believe them. Before the questioning even started, my son was already labeled as someone who bullied and humiliated underage girls. Right now, my son's reputation is already bad enough, don't tell me that the entire Ing family is going to be stinked. Qin Yutong's acting was very realistic, especially her acting of not being afraid of anyone, it was simply godly. Alright, this part of her acting was her true self. Don't think that you can bully us sisters just because you have more people. Zizi, don't be afraid, big sister is here. Lightly caressing onto Yi Zizi who was in her embrace, Qin Yutong spoke angrily. Yi Zizi pointed at Inkongsher and sobbed, it's fine if you bully me, but don't bully big sister anymore, pfft. Inkongsher felt the taste of blood surging up his chest. It's obviously the two of you who are bullying me. Looking at the two sisters who were so pitiful, Ing Shang said gravely, Big brother, I'm afraid that we have to consider this matter at length. Ing Jingshan thought for a while, then asked, tell me, why did you two hurt my son? Qin Yutong said righteously, that night, it was him who invited me and my little sister to accompany him for a drink. Lu Bai went into a daze for a moment, but he didn't refute. That was indeed the case. And he actually made an excessive request, asking me and my little sister to accompany him. My little sister is only 8 years old, how can there be such an evil person in this world? After speaking, Qin Yutong started crying bitterly, causing the other family members to pity her. She is lying, I have never said such a thing before. Inkongsher shouted out. He was too hesitant and emotional, and his eyes had already turned red. However, Inkongsher's words seemed to be very powerless. After all, it was very normal for him to have such thoughts. The looks of these two girls were extraordinary, if they didn't cause any trouble, then it would be fine, but if they caused trouble, then they would definitely be ugly. Qin Yutong could be heard continuing, my little sister and I were almost drunk, and not knowing what happened, his crotch caught on fire. Although he had evil intentions, we couldn't just leave him to die, right? My little sister and I worked together to extinguish the fire, and only then did he not get burnt to death. However, we were also afraid, and thus, we left. Chapter 186. Bullshit. You've crushed my roots, give me back my roots. Inkongsher had a malevolent look on his face. Just as he was about to charge forward, he was stopped by an invisible force. At the side, Marquis Ing heaved a huge sigh of relief. Seemed like this was truly an accident. The blue veins on Ing Jingshan's forehead bulged a few times. This was truly the misfortune of the clan. One last question, was this incident an accident, or was it instigated by someone? Ing Jingshan questioned coldly. Qin Yutong and Yi Zizi seemed to have a telepathic connection. Shuangshuang cast a glance at Ing Ho, who was at the side, and then immediately retracted her gaze. This action was very fast. Ordinary people might not be able to detect it, but the people sitting here were all powerful figures. How could they not notice this trick? Everyone looked towards Ing Ho, and Ing Ho was completely stupefied. What do you all mean by looking at me like that? MLGB. Inkongsher had been guessing all along. He had never confirmed it, and he didn't want to confirm it either. After all, he was his big brother. But when he saw their gazes, his entire person froze. His gaze gradually turned to his elder brother, and blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. Ing Ho, I'm going to kill you. Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi snickered in their hearts. To be able to make the two of you kill each other so effortlessly, this is truly too fun. Marquis Ing came to his senses and said angrily, "Are you crazy? They are obviously framing us, trying to make us fight amongst ourselves." "Zizi and Big Sister really don't know him," Yi Zizi said while choking with sobs. She seemed to be very scared, as if she was being threatened. A child's words were very lethal, let alone a cute little loli. However, this kind of supplement was like a stab to Ing Ho's back, causing him to be enraged. "I'll kill you two bitches." After saying that, Marquis Ing attacked. Upon seeing the situation, Qing Yutong immediately protected Yi Zizi. "If no one is going to make a move, then prepare to counterattack. In any case, I have already played enough." But how could no one do anything in such a situation? Ing Xiang and Ing Shang took the opportunity to stand in front of Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi, forcing Ing Ho to retreat. Ing Shang said in a deep voice, "Nephew Ho, it's not good to silence them." Third uncle. These two demonesses were bewitching people with their words. "We can't let him live." At this moment, Marquis Ing was also flustered. If he acted rashly, wouldn't that be the same as admitting to it? "Big brother. It really is you. From today onwards, we are no longer brothers." Ing Kongsha raised his hand and made a vow. From now on, he cut off all ties with Ing Hui, leaving only hatred. Ing Jingshan clenched his fists tightly. If possible, he really didn't want them to appear. Harming others and oneself. "Speak, you don't have to be afraid." Ing Jingshan shouted. Qing Yutong hugged onto Yi Zizi, and the two of them shivered, seeming like they didn't dare to speak. If this matter was confirmed, it would be a great opportunity for Ing Xiang and Ing Shang. "Young ladies, don't be afraid. With me, Ing Xiang, here, no one will dare to hurt you. You just need to tell me the truth," Ing Shang said with a smile. As an adult, Qing Yutong definitely can't speak carelessly. Right now, as long as I act well, they will definitely start fighting. At this time, it was Yi Zizi's turn. "Really?" Yi Zizi asked curiously with her eyes wide open. No one would question a frightened little loli's desire to live. "Of course it's true." Ing Xiang smiled amiably. Ing Jingshan, who was sitting on the main seat, appeared very solemn. Two unfilial sons. Both ruined in the hands of a woman. Yi Zizi wiped away her tears. This action of hers was too pitiful. Then, pointing at Ing Ho, she said, "This uncle gave Big Sister a large sum of money to let us dress sexily at the bar at night. That's all?" Ing Xiang asked. Yi Zizi shook her head, "That's all." Everyone's expression changed greatly. This is a scheme that has a brain. Needless to say, the person who is able to come up with such a scheme is this eldest young master. Ing Xiang sneered, "Big brother, you have taught a good son. If this kind of matter were to spread out, where would our Ing family's face be?" Ing Shang walked back and forth, slowly explaining the scheme to everyone. Nephew Kong would normally go to the bar at Three Seasons Hotel when he goes out. You calculated that on that night, little brother would be happy and go out to drink, so you used money to bribe the two young ladies. Because you are very clear of little brother's character, he would definitely let the two young ladies accompany him to drink. The mission of the two young ladies was actually only an open scheme, they were only covering for that waiter. Following Ing Shang's explanation, everyone fell into contemplation. There is nothing wrong with this. However, Ing Ho's expression became even more gloomy. Ing Shang continued, "The people who went out to investigate discovered that everything about that waiter was fake, and that waiter disappeared on that very night. If my guess is correct, the one who did it should be that waiter. However, the two young ladies are benevolent, so of course, they also made a huge mistake. As for why Lu Bai was controlled, there is no need for me to say much, right? Liu Bai suddenly looked at Ing Ho. What a vicious man. However, Qin Yutong and Yi Zizi were laughing so hard in their hearts. Benevolent and benevolent, this phrase is so professional, I didn't expect that you would be able to see through it. The entire hall was filled with an oppressive aura. Ing family's biggest taboo was to harm one's own brothers, even if it was a power struggle, one's life must not be harmed. However, all of the family members were hoping that Ing Ho's crime would be confirmed, that way, the position of the family master would be vacant. As for why I didn't kill him, it should be because nephew Kong didn't want to do that. After all, he is a blood brother, and furthermore, killing him is even more ruthless than killing him. After finished speaking, Ing Shang's aura suddenly erupted as he shouted loudly, "Am I right? Bullshit. I just wanted to kill him." The entire hall was silent. Ing Shang's aura that suddenly erupted was to attack Ing Ho's willpower. Ing Shang's strength was also stronger than Ing Ho's, and as expected, Ing Ho, who was caught off guard, lost his judgment for a short period of time, causing Ing Ho to speak the truth. However, the truth was indeed frightening enough. He actually dared to kill his younger brother. Ing Xiang said gravely, "Seems like that waiter's mission was to kill nephew Kong, and those two girls had indirectly saved nephew Kang's life." Right now, even Qin Yutong and Yi Zizi were stupefied. This plot seems to have been extended infinitely. This is really a case of brothers killing each other. This is so awesome. This is much more entertaining than a TV drama. Who is it? Why aren't you quickly thanking us? If it wasn't for us, it would not be possible for you to be standing here right now. However, Qin Yutong thought to herself, from the looks of it, Zhou Yi seems to have an affair with this man. This is a bit interesting. I reckon that this Zhou Yi has an even bigger secret that I can slowly unravel. Ing Jingshan's head was buzzing. His eldest son was actually jealous to the point of killing his younger brother. If it wasn't for a freak combination of factors, his youngest son would have already lost his life. Big brother, we are also very sad that something like this happened, but without rules, nothing can be accomplished. Ing Xiang said, not giving any face to Ing Jingshan at all. In actuality, for a family like Ing Jingshan's, if they were to be slightly caught by others, they would definitely die without a complete corpse. Chapter 187. Although these two women were talking nonsense, he really wanted to kill them. The funny thing was that he had been tricked. He was really stupid. Ing Kongsher knelt in front of his father and said furiously, "Father, Marquis Ing has violated the family rules. Father, please punish him accordingly." Hearing Ing Kongsher's words, all the clan members stood up and cupped their hands. "Clan head, please punish them according to the clan rules." Marquis Ing knew what the outcome would be. Rather than waiting for death, he might as well run. Marquis Ing instantly dashed out. This kind of thinking was really stupid. But given the current situation, there was nothing he could do. The clan members easily grabbed onto Ing Ho, then kneeled beside Qin Yutong and Yi Zizi. Ing Ho glared angrily at the two women beside him. Yi Zizi suddenly made a face at Ing Ho and said, Lu. This time around, Marquis Ing was completely enraged. He wanted to get rid of these two women with all his might. However, the result was self-evident, and it was even more certain that it was the truth. "I'll kill you all. I'm going to kill you." Marquis Ying's face twisted, and his eyes revealed an ominous glint as he roared at the two women beside him. Ing Jingshan maintained his silence. How could he not feel pain in his heart? A single sentence from the Empress had actually caused the brothers of the Ying family to turn on each other, and the clan members had even wanted him to kill his son for the sake of the position of clan head. How ironic. The greatest irony. One day ago, the clan members were mad with jealousy. The eldest son had become the clan leader, and the youngest son was married to the Empress. How glorious was that? However, one day later, the youngest son had been trampled to death, and the eldest son even wanted to kill his younger brother. This was a great humiliation. Such a turn of events surprised the clan members, but they also found it funny. This was a rare opportunity. In fact, the culprit is sitting in the hall. It's just that you're blind. However, it had to be said that Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi had truly saved Inkongshi's life, otherwise, Jiu Yi would have definitely poisoned Inkongshi. Kong. Yu He, who was weak, could be seen running in from outside of the door, and when she saw her two sons kneeling on the ground, tears immediately flowed down like rain. What are you all doing? Get up, all of you. What misunderstanding can't be solved? Yuha shouted painfully. Ing Xiang said faintly, Sister-in-law, your eldest son wants to kill his younger brother. This is a violation of the family rules. What? Impossible, how could kill Kong? This is impossible, Tell me. Yuha shook her son. Her voice was hoarse. She had cried for a long time because of her youngest son. But now she was told that her eldest son wanted to kill her younger brother. It was like a bolt from the blue. Kneeling on the ground, Marquis Ing was too ashamed to face his mother. He lowered his head and refused to answer. Yuha ran to her youngest son and cried, Konger, you listen to me the most. How could your brother want to kill you? There must be a misunderstanding. Quickly plead for your father. Inkongshi didn't look at his mother. Instead, he lowered his head and said in a deep voice, Marquis Ing got what he deserved. He will be punished according to the family rules. Yuha sat paralyzed on the ground in disbelief. The elder brother wanted to kill the younger brother, and the younger brother even wanted to punish the elder brother according to the family law. Why? How could a good family change like this in one day? Jing Shan, quickly say something. You can't kill he's our child. Yuha knelt in front of her husband and begged. No one said anything, because the outcome had been decided. Hearing his wife's pleading, how could Jing Shan not want to save her? But sitting in his current position, how could he save her? What could he use to save her? Jing Shan, I beg of you, if you want to kill then let me die in place of my son. In the end, Yuha didn't do anything wrong. She only wanted to save her child. However, marrying into this kind of family, one would be able to enjoy the comfort brought by power, but at the same time, one would also lose a lot. Mom! Hearing her eldest son's call, Yuha, who was begging, felt her heart shatter. In Ing family, different from the secular world, there were rules for how one should address someone. This was the first time she heard her son calling her mom. Yuha came to the front of her eldest son and held onto his hand. Mom will save you, don't worry. Men don't cry easily. This was the education that Marquis Ing had received. Right now, both of his eyes were red, but he didn't cry. Mom, your son will call you mom for the last time. Don't beg anymore. Marquis Ing Jingshan naturally knew that all of his pleading was already useless. Looking at his mother's screams, his heart felt like it was being sliced into pieces. This might be the punishment for me, right? What they said was right. I wanted to kill my younger brother, I deserve it. Forget about your son is unfilial, unable to bring you face. I have let down the ancestors of Ing family. Please accept 3 kowtows from your son, thank mom for raising me. Marquis Ing Jingshan could be seen opening his mother's hands, then moving backwards a bit, bowing to his mother. Bang! Marquis Ing Jingshan's forehead fiercely knocked onto the ground, the hard stone on the ground immediately cracked, and the entire hall shook for a bit. Bang! The hard stone was unable to withstand the force and actually collapsed, and the cracks spread out endlessly. Bang! A small pit was forcefully created on the ground, and right now, Marquis Ing Jingshan's entire face was covered with blood. Even Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi, who were at the side, were stupefied. They completely didn't expect Marquis Ing Jingshan to do such a thing. "Mom, go back, just treat it as if you don't have this son." Looking at her son whose face was covered with blood, Yuha felt as if her heart was being pierced by a knife. She hugged her son in her embrace, just like when he was young. "Mom won't leave, Mom will accompany you." Marquis Ing Jingshan let out a deep breath, enjoying the last bit of warmth. Soon after, he lightly caressed his mother's forehead, letting her gradually fall asleep. The maid very quickly carried the unconscious Yuha away, and the entire hall once again became quiet. Right now, Ing Kongsha was still kneeling in front of his father, his head lowered as he begged, not having the slightest intention of asking for forgiveness. Ing Jingshan said gravely, "Marquis Ing, violating the family rules, harming your own brother, you will be sentenced to Heavy Dust Cave." Hearing such a declaration, the relatives of the clan let out a sigh of relief. As long as one entered Heavy Dust Cave, it would be impossible for them to come out. However, when Ing Kongsha heard such a sentence, he finally felt that the situation was balanced. Hearing his father's sentence, Marquis Ing Jingshan did not reveal too much of an expression. On the other hand, Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi were both curious about what kind of place this Heavy Dust Cave was. "As for the two of you," Ing Jingshan immediately glared at Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi. If the two of them did not appear, such a thing would not have happened. Not knowing the severity of your attack, causing Ing family's offspring to be infertile, you will be sentenced to Heavy Dust Cave. Towards this kind of punishment, everyone felt that it was meaningless. Although the two ladies had saved Ing Kongsha's life, they had also trampled on his life, and the punishment naturally could not be offset. However, the punishment of being sent to Heavy Dust Cave was indeed a little heavy, so it would be better to just straightforwardly behead them. Ing Jingshan had nowhere to vent his anger, and Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi could only be said to be innocent bystanders. However, other than being frightened, the two of them were also curious about Heavy Dust Cave, and wanted to go and see what exactly was inside. The two of them appeared to be very fearful, and at the same time, respectful. Chapter 188. Something like being sent into the Heavy Dust Cavern was a huge matter for the entire Ing family. All of the members of the Ing family were present, including the guards. Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi curiously looked at that family head who was praying to the heavens. It seemed like only by praying to the heavens would he be able to be at ease. "Sister Qing, are you afraid?" "If you are, let's charge out right now," Yi Zizi whispered. Qing Yutong muttered, "Don't, let's go in and see what it is." "That's what I was thinking too." Yi Zizi was now incomparably curious about Heavy Dust Cave. Was there a big monster inside? "I really like fighting monsters." This Heavy Dust Cavern was located at the back of the island. From the outside, this cavern seemed to extend to the bottom of the sea. From time to time, a chilling aura would seep out from within, making people shiver. After the worshipping ceremony ended, Ing Jingshan took one last look at his son. Then, he turned around and shouted, "Enter the cave." The guards escorted the three of them towards the Heavy Dust Cavern. When Ing Ho passed by his younger brother, he said in a low voice, "Take good care of Mom." Ing Kongsha coldly looked at his elder brother who wanted to kill him and did not say anything. The guard urged in a low voice, and the three of them slowly walked into the Heavy Dust Cave. Immediately, cold air assaulted them, and the temperature instantly dropped below zero. Since he had already walked in, there was no need for him to continue acting. La la la, la la la, so fun. Yi Zizi swung the teddy bear in her hand and skipped down the seemingly bottomless staircase. "Zizi, slow down a bit, don't fall," Qing Yutong warned. Yi Zizi ran over again and smiled sweetly, "I know." The two of them glanced at Ing Ho who was standing silently at the side. They felt that this was a very strange situation. This was a good opportunity for them to kill someone. After a long time, Qing Yutong and Yizizi finally couldn't endure the fire of gossip in their hearts anymore. "Hey, why didn't you kill us?" Qing Yutong asked curiously, and Yizizi waited for the other party's reply. Ing Ho, whose face was covered in blood, laughed coldly. "Being killed by me is too easy for you. Being killed by Zhong Qin is the most painful. Why should I make a move and let you die so easily? What is this heavy dust? You guys seem to be very afraid of it." Yizizi asked curiously. She hugged little Teddy with both her hands and her face was filled with questions. Ing Ho snorted coldly, mocking their ignorance. "Heavy dust is an ancient ferocious beast. It's incomparably cruel and has been suppressed by the Ying family for thousands of years." Yizizi waved her little hand and exclaimed, "Wow, an ancient ferocious beast. Just thinking about it makes me excited. Your sister has already gone crazy." Ing Ho laughed. Qing Yutong spread out her hands. "I haven't even seen what an ancient beast looks like yet." In actuality, she had even eaten the meat of a prehistoric beast before, and even though she ate the meat of an ancient ferocious beast, it was still not as good as a prehistoric beast. After a while, the three of them reached the end of the staircase. It seemed quite spacious, but it was pitch black. Moreover, it was incredibly cold and gave off a powerful might. Ing Ho sighed deeply. "I'll wait for you on the other side." With that, he walked into the darkness. Roar! Ha! A roar sounded out, and within the roar, there was even Ing Ho's counterattack. However, not even a second later, the entire world once again became silent, and Qing Yutong could even hear the faint sound of chewing. Yizizi shook her head. "You could have lived, but you chose to die. Even if you waited there for a lifetime, you wouldn't be able to see me." Qing Yutong smiled, then took out a stone from the system and threw it towards the sky. The stone was instantly illuminated. The two of them saw what the so-called heavy dust looked like. It had a lion's head and a crocodile's body. "It seems that this is a hybrid product. This is the ugliest and weakest ancient beast that I have ever seen." Yizizi muttered. "This is truly an eyesore. I didn't expect that an ancient beast would actually be this ugly." Qing Yutong couldn't bear to look on anymore. The two of them indeed had good taste in aesthetics. Heavy dust was actually quite awe-inspiring. Its body length was close to 300 meters, and when it stood up, it was roughly 10 floors tall. The fur below its neck was like golden thorns that were incomparably sharp. The defense of the scales on its body was extremely high, and wanting to break through its defense was not an easy task. The main point was its 4 huge claws that were flickering with a cold light. In front of heavy dust, Qing Yutong and Yizizi were just like a black dot, and they seemed so insignificant. Heavy dust could be seen slowly crawling over, and every time it moved, the entire cave would tremble. Ancient beasts all have intelligence, and these two weak humans actually dared to ignore this beast and even turned their faces to the side. Don't think that just because you two look good, this beast will spare your life. Roar! Heavy dust let out a loud roar, and its aura soared into the sky. This is definitely a move that is used to scare little kids. Even Ying family who was outside of the cave heard heavy dust's roar, and apart from being shocked, they also sighed in admiration. Unexpectedly, an even louder roar rang out from within the cave, and a berserk aura swept out from within the cave, causing the altar to collapse. Ing Xiang said gravely, "This heavy dust has become a bit more powerful. What kind of joke is this? That roar just now was Yizizi's." When it comes to roaring, Yizizi has never been afraid of roaring before. However, heavy dust, who was still awe-inspiring just a moment ago, was actually hiding at the corner of the cave and shivering. Just like an injured kitten, heavy dust buried its head into its chest. In actuality, Qing Yutong was also quite frightened by Yizizi's roar. Yizizi's ability is not ordinary, and that lowly voice of hers couldn't have turned on a voice changer, right? Alright, you guessed it right. La la la, la la la, it's time for Ultraman to beat up little monsters. Zizi waved the teddy bear in her hand and bounced over to the front of Heavy Dust, then stretched out her leg and kicked onto Heavy Dust's sharp claws. Big Sister Ching, quickly come over, this beast is actually painted with black nail polish, so coquettish. Heavy Dust, you are lying. These are all natural black nails, okay? Don't think that just because you are powerful, you can slander a good beast. Qing Yutong walked over, then let out a breath and said, black nail polish doesn't look good, how about we paint it red? Sure, Zizi likes red. Heavy Dust's heart was filled with despair. While speaking, the two really started painting their nails, and they were definitely not joking. What are you being shy for? Put down your nails a bit, you won't even be able to paint it. That claw over there, you are acting like a little girl, you really haven't seen the world yet. Heavy Dust, under Qing Yutong and Zizi's ridicule, Heavy Dust wished that he could die from despair. They are simply inhumane, painting the sharp claws that I am most proud of into a dazzling red color, and even made me wear contact lenses. I really want to die. Qing Yutong clapped her hands. Zizi, do you feel that it is prettier? Looking at Heavy Dust, who had a wrong look on his face, Zizi hugged onto the teddy bear and said, won't you know after taking a look? Hee hee, that makes sense. Zizi is really smart, quickly give Big Sister a kiss. After speaking, Heavy Dust hugged onto Zizi and fiercely kissed onto her. Big Sister Qing, you salivating monster. Heavy Dust buried his head. I am still a child. Chapter 189. Heavy Dust, who was originally lying motionlessly on the ground, slowly stood up. His gaze was no longer filled with despair. Instead, he wanted others to feel despair. The humiliation he had suffered here would be returned by others. Roar! The Heavy Dust drilled up the stairs like a machine. Countless rocks rolled down one after another. The entire cave was about to collapse. Just now, when Qing Yutong undid the seal, her motive was very simple, and that was to let Heavy Dust out to play. After being locked up for such a long time, Heavy Dust's intelligence would soon become retarded. Sister Qing, let's go up and play. All right. The two of them held hands and followed behind Heavy Dust. From time to time, Zizi's sweet laughter could be heard. However, this laughter made one's hair stand on end. At this time, the people of Ing family were sitting in the main hall, discussing about the next clan head candidate. Ing Jingshan was furious in his heart. His son had just died, and they couldn't wait to choose the next clan head. Suddenly, the entire hall began trembling, and the faces of the Ing family immediately turned pale with fright. This aura, Heavy Dust. Ing Shang couldn't believe his eyes. How could Heavy Dust have escaped? The entire island was shaking as if there was an earthquake, and the Heavy Dust emitted a baleful aura that struck fear into the hearts of all who smelled it. Ing Jingshan did not have the slightest bit of hesitation as he shouted in a deep voice, activate all of Ing family's ancient godly items. We must continue to seal Heavy Dust and not let it escape. In the face of danger, the entire Ing family was united. Otherwise, they wouldn't have become one of the three giants. When Heavy Dust broke through the hole, it immediately roared towards the sky, as if it was telling the people of the world that their time of death had come. It was going to use its red claws to crush them. With every step he took, Ing family's luxurious building would turn into an Oreo. He didn't even know if there was anyone under his foot. Qing Yutong and Zizi slowly walked out, and looking at the moonlight in the sky, Qing Yutong stretched their waist. Big Sister Qing, hug me, I'm tired. Zizi stretched out her arms, indicating that she did not want to move anymore. Qing Yutong carried Zizi up, let's go, and watch the big monster fight against Ultraman. Right, what time is it? If big cousin finishes taking the wedding photos and finds out that we're not there, then we're finished. Qin Yutong took a look at the sky. I didn't bring my phone with me, and looking at the sky, it should still be early. Big sister Qing, remember what you said, little fellow, you only know how to shift the blame to others. Qin Yutong pinched onto Yizizi's little nose, causing the latter to laugh heartily. At this moment, heavy dust was like a war machine. Half of the Ying family's buildings had been razed to the ground, and everyone in the Ying family started to attack heavy dust. The weapons in their hands flashed with all sorts of colors, and anyone could tell that they were cheap weapons. Big brother. This heavy dust is very strange, it seems to be very violent. Ying Shang held a long spear in his hand. The long spear was black in color and was surrounded by lightning. Ancient godly item. At this moment, Ying Xiang had also flown over. He was holding a large blade in his hand. It looked very much like the green dragon crescent blade, but the blade was yellow in color. It was another ancient godly item. The thing that the three great magnates lacked the least was ancient godly equipment. Big brother, why did heavy dust's sharp claws turn red? This is a bit strange. Ying Jingshan also felt that it was strange. Why did it feel like those sharp claws were painted with nail polish? Alright, let's not talk anymore. Let's subdue heavy dust and seal him again. Yes. Yes. The orders of the patriarch could not be disobeyed. Rules were rules, and no one could override the rules of the Ying family. Yizizi, who was nestled in Qin Yutong's embrace, pouted her mouth. The little fellow doesn't seem to be a match for them. And, the weapons in their hands are very powerful. Qin Yutong said. The two hid at a remote place and watched the battle. I didn't expect that Ying family's foundation would be this powerful. If they were to be given a bit more time, they would be able to seal heavy dust once again. The two watched the battle for another 10 minutes, and heavy dust was already on the verge of collapse. Facing against Ying family's frenzied attacks, heavy dust was unable to hold on any longer. They are too much of a bully, a few thousand people against one. In actuality, Qin Yutong hated those people very much. Comparatively speaking, that Ying Ho could still be counted as a man. Yizizi snorted, Big sister Qin, let's go and help those little monsters, they are too pitiful. Alright, let's let them experience what true despair is. Qin Yutong loosened up her muscles and bones. I can finally have a big battle. Just as the two were preparing to enter the battlefield, Yizizi's expression changed. Big sister Qin. Wait. Don't go. Yizizi retracted her usual smile and shouted out sternly. Qin Yutong turned her head around and asked curiously, what happened, Zizi? Big brother is here. Yizizi's face collapsed as she thought about where she should hide. Ah! Brother-in-law is here. Qin Yutong also got a fright, and she felt that her but was a bit painful. Hide, the two immediately understood each other's gaze and hid, half an hour ago. Yi Hua, who was in the bridal dress store, felt that his body and mind were exhausted. I might as well just fight with Yizizi. Thinking about how there is still a whole day of filming tomorrow, Yi Hua felt that the sky was pressing down on him, and a feeling of powerlessness welled up within him. Facing something like this, so what if I am strong? Sometimes, I really want to go back to the past and be a little skeleton that is always in fear. Sigh. Qinya, who was wearing a pure white wedding dress, walked over. Looking at Yi Hua, who had a bitter look on his face, Qinya laughed in her heart. All right, don't be angry anymore, I will give you a massage when we get back. Don't think that I will be able to calm down just by saying a few nice words. Yi Hua said gravely. Today, I have changed at least 10 sets of clothes, and right now, I am even wearing a bright red suit, even my leather shoes and socks are red in color. Do you think that I am a male prostitute? Qinya could be seen walking to Yi Hua's side, then bending down and lightly kissing onto Yi Hua's cheek. Is this okay? The boy who was dragging the wedding dress behind Chinya was stupefied. This woman in front of me is so beautiful, yet she is actually trying to curry favor with a man, and even took the initiative to give him a kiss. Needless to say, this man's family has a mine, and a lot of mine. Yihua pursed his lips. Chinya actually took the initiative, I have taught her quite well. Quickly change your clothes and go back. Yihua said petulantly. Chinya stretched out her index finger and hooked onto Yihua's chin, then blinked her beautiful eyes and said sweetly, little darling, wait for me. Yihua looked blankly at Chinya who was leaving. This woman is really makes me. Yihua doesn't even know how to describe what he is feeling right now. She actually dares to take liberties with me. Later on, when we get back, just wait and see how I will take care of you. Although that was what he said, the corner of Yihua's mouth was still quite honest. Suddenly, Yihua seemed to have heard a light roar, causing Yihua to be very curious. Who is walking a ferocious beast in the middle of the night? It was normal for Yihua to be able to hear heavy dust's roar. After all, heavy dust was not very far away from Yihua. Adding on to the excitement of heavy dust breaking out from the ground, heavy dust's roar was very loud, and thus, heavy dust's roar was transmitted into Yihua's ears. Of course, other people would not be able to hear heavy dust's roar. Even if Xiao Yi was called over, Xiao Yi would not be able to hear heavy dust's roar. Chapter 190. Opening the window, Yihua looked towards the pitch-black ocean. From that direction, he could still sense the existence of Yizizi. As expected, she is looking for something to do, and there are quite a lot of people in the ocean. After pondering for a while, Yihua decided to call Wei Chang and Lai Gu over for a meeting. Arriving at the toilet, Yihua closed the door and began summoning his two subordinates. Wei Chang and Lai Gu instantly arrived. Subordinate pays respect to your honor. Subordinate pays respect to your honor. Yihua said faintly, stop kneeling, the floor is dirty. Wei Chang and Lai Gu heaved a sigh of relief. Thank you for your understanding. Thank you for your understanding. When Wei Chang and Lai Gu raised their heads and saw his honor who was dressed entirely in red, Wei Chang and Lai Gu were both stupefied. His honor had always been dressed in black, and for his honor to suddenly be dressed entirely in red, it truly feels very awkward. I am currently thinking about a problem, and I wish to hear your opinions. Yihua took out a stick of cigarette and said faintly. What? He came to take the exam in the middle of the night. Wei Chang and Lai Gu immediately pricked up their ears to listen. Zizi is currently causing trouble in a certain power, and I, the Supreme Overlord, want to take this opportunity to subdue him. What do you all think? Yihua let out a mouthful of smoke and said. Lai Gu secretly pulled Wei Chang. Aren't you very good at this kind of problem? Subordinate thinks that. Wei Chang was about to speak, but Yihua said, let Lai Gu speak. Lai Gu, your honor, you clearly know that subordinate isn't thinking. Subordinate is only thinking with the lower half of his body. Lai Gu coughed lightly, your honor, I feel that your way of thinking is truly too great. It was over. No more. Yihua asked gravely. Yes, 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 yes. Lai Gu said 10 times in one go. Speak. This subordinate feels that what his honor is doing, what is it called again? What rain? Wei Chang reminded, prepare for a rainy day. That's right, it is to prepare for a rainy day. Currently, other than Sun Fang who is still teaching the humans, there are no other powers that are under our control. If we were to subdue those powers, it would be useful for your honor's plan. After finished speaking, Lai Gu prepared to listen to Yihua's lecture. Yihua paused for a moment, then said gravely, that's right, the current progress is indeed a bit slow. If I were to subdue a power and make it work for me, it would be more convenient for me to handle matters. Your honor is wise. Your honor is wise. Since we're going to subdue them, what kind of formation do we have to put on to shock them? Yihua thought back then, when the 7 deadly sins were still around, every time they set out to battle, there would be 8 of them. Wei Chang and Lai Gu also thought of the past. However, there weren't that many people now. Wei Chang suddenly had an idea and suggested, I can call Xiao Tang over, along with Lai Gu's 3 celebrities, and that little brother of mine, and that little brother of mine, and that little brother of mine's woman. This scene should be more or less enough. You called a few women to keep up appearances. Yihua was a bit displeased. Wei Chang hurriedly explained, during that day's outing, they had already started to worship your honor's strength. If your honor were to show off your strength again, they would definitely become the sharp blades in your honor's hands and pierce through the blood vessels of your enemies. Not only to shock the enemy, but also to shock them. That makes sense. The world has yet to witness my true strength. I might as well let them witness my true terror tonight. Wei Chang and Lai Gu didn't care whether the ground was dirty or not, and said in unison, his honors might shakes the world. Gather everyone. We're leaving in 5 minutes. Yes. Yes. Yihua let out a breath and felt an indescribable excitement, as if I have returned to the past. This feeling is great. Arriving at Qingya's dressing room, Yihua walked into the dressing room. Yihua, what's wrong? Don't be anxious, it will be done very soon. Qingya smiled tenderly. Yihua said faintly, I ran out of cigarettes, I am going to buy a pack of cigarettes. And I will wait for you here. Be careful on the road, pay attention to the cars. Qingya warned. Yihua smiled lightly and pinched onto Qingya's nose. Pay attention to the cars, so what if I crash into them? Walking into the toilet once again, Yihua's figure had already appeared on the surface of the sea. Taking a deep breath, Yihua took out a stick of cigarette and lit it up. Within a certain hotel in Sanya City, Death Mage and Sun Fang were currently lying on the bed and playing games. Right now, they were playing games as much as they wanted to. Just as they were playing, Death Mage received his master's command. His honor is going to make a big move. F***K. His honor's big move will definitely cause blood to flow like a river and bones to appear. What? And he is going to bring along this woman who is beside him. Are you for real? Time was of the essence, and there was no time for Death Mage to think too much. Grabbing onto Sun Fang's fragrant shoulder, Death Mage let out a cackling sound. Imperial translation, quickly change your clothes, don't wear your pajamas anymore, I will bring you to meet his honor. This time, Sun Fang was really confused. She frowned and said, what are you doing? You're hurting me. Death Mage immediately started typing on his phone. Looking at the anxious look on Death Mage's face, Sun Fang felt an indescribable nervousness. What kind of matter could make Death Mage so anxious? He flashed his phone. I'll bring you to see the master. Hurry up and change your clothes. Change into that waiter's clothes. Sun Fang was confused and asked curiously, aren't you the boss? GGG, royal translation, I'm not your boss, hurry up and change your clothes. The anxious Death Mage forgot to type again. When Sun Fang saw the words that Death Mage had typed out, her entire body became unwell. Isn't he the boss? Instead, it is someone else's underling's underling, then who was his boss's boss? Sun Fang immediately went to find a waiter's uniform and hurriedly ran back. Death Mage hugged onto his woman, then stepped into the black void. On the surface of the sea, Yihua was smoking a cigarette. Wei Chang could be seen being the first to arrive, and he appeared with Tang Wei. Wei Chang was still wearing that black maid attire, just that, Tang Wei's current expression was a bit off, a bit of fear could be seen on her face. Subordinate pays respect to your honor. Wei Chang knelt down in the void and shouted out loudly. Tang Wei was startled, then immediately knelt down in the void and shouted out, "Subordinate pays respect to your honor." Yihua didn't say anything, and the two of them didn't get up either. Very quickly, Lai Gu arrived as well. He brought along Still Yi, Wen Xia, and Bai Xiaojin. The four of them knelt down in unison and shouted out loudly, "Subordinate pays respect to your honor." The three women didn't even dare to breathe loudly. Just a moment ago, when they found out about the boss's identity, their souls were simply about to be scared out of their wits. At this moment, Death Mage could be seen appearing at the scene as well, just that, he was standing slightly behind Yihua. Subordinate pays respect to your honor, pays respect to master. Sun Fong was a bit dazed. Looking at the person who was kneeling down in the void, she felt a bit dizzy. Death Mage immediately pulled on to Sun Fong. "What are you standing there foolishly for? Quickly pay respect to master." Sun Fong knew what Death Mage meant, and she imitated everyone, "Subordinate pays respect to your honor." Yihua puffed out a mouthful of smoke, then said calmly with his back facing everyone, "Everyone, stand up." The 8 people behind Yihua slowly stood up and stood according to their positions. Chapter 191. Sun Fong was a little nervous. Death Mage was such a powerful skeleton, yet he was only standing at the back. "No, I'm the last one." Just how strong was the man in front of her? Yihua flicked away the cigarette that was in his hand, and the cigarette just so happened to land on the barrier, causing the sparks to burn out a round hole on the barrier. The group of 9 stepped into the barrier, and the surface of the sea once again fell into silence. The winner. Jing Shan looked at the dying heavy dust and let out a heavy breath. "How are the casualties?" Xiang hurriedly said, 711 people died and 2,732 were injured. F***CK. Jing Shan could not help but swear. There were only about 10,000 people in Ing family, and this number included the guards and maidservants. 711 people had died today. What a heavy loss. Moreover, it had injured more than 2,000 people. As expected of an ancient ferocious beast, its strength was indeed formidable. Looking up at the vast Milky Way, Jing Shan said in a deep voice, "Take good care of the dead, treat the injured as soon as possible, and carry out the construction work at the same time. Also, continue sealing heavy dust." "Yes." Xiang replied. Just when everyone thought that everything was fine, a round flame suddenly appeared in the night sky. It was very eye-catching, and everyone in the Ying family raised their heads to look up. After a moment of shock, the Ying family members immediately became vigilant. He held the ancient godly item tightly in his hands. The enchantment in the void fell like a piece of glass, and then 9 people walked in. The man at the very front was dressed in red, looking quite festive. Could it be that he just got married? The enchantment slowly healed. Looking at the 9 people in the sky, the Ying clan was shocked. They were actually able to break through the barrier so easily. How was this possible? Who dares to trespass? An armored warrior shouted out. However, before he could finish speaking, his entire body turned into a pool of blood. The people of the Ying family were dumbfounded. That warrior had just made a great contribution in the battle against Heavy Dust Mountain. His strength was clear to see. He didn't expect to be instantly killed. Moreover, the one who attacked was standing at the back of the group, a black-robed man with a sickle in his hand. That's right, it was Death Mage. He was currently raising his hand. The entire Ying family fell silent. They felt that these people were even more terrifying than Zhong Qin. Qin Yutong and Yi Zizi, who were hiding below, looked upwards. Big cousin is so pretentious. Brother-in-law is indeed the tough king. Xiang, who had a fiery temper, held on to an ancient godly item and rushed straight towards Yihua. However, Yihua did not even take a look at Xiang as he silently took out a stick of cigarette and lit it up. Eat my blade. The ancient godly item in Xiang's hand immediately emitted a bright golden light, illuminating the entire night sky. Meanwhile, that long blade let out an excited tiger's roar, as if it wanted to devour everything in the world. Death Mage clenched his fist. Bang! Xiang, who had an extraordinary aura, turned into a mist of blood on the spot. The ancient godly item fell from the sky and stabbed into the ground. Boom! The entire island shook, and it could be seen just how powerful the ancient godly item was. However, none of the 9 people in the sky went to pick up the godly item. It was as if the ancient godly item was trash in their eyes. Death Mage, who was standing at the back of the 9 people, instantly killed 2 people, causing everyone to be stupefied. It would have been fine if he had insta-killed that warrior. However, insta-killing family's second brother, who possessed an ancient godly item, was something that no one could accept. Jingshan and the other family members didn't dare to rashly make a move anymore. Since Death Mage was able to insta-kill the person who was standing at the back of the 9 people, just how strong would the person who was standing at the front be? Yihua exhaled out a mouthful of smoke, and the smoke that he exhaled out slowly drifted towards the weakened Heavy Dust. Heavy Dust, who was lying on the ruins, smelled the smoke, and his 4 limbs that were originally unable to move began to gradually wriggle. Soon after, Heavy Dust suddenly stood up. Roar! Heavy Dust let out a long howl, then bent his front leg and bowed towards Yihua. Right now, the hearts of family's people were collapsing. So many people had died just to defeat Heavy Dust. However, with just a breath from Yihua, Heavy Dust, who was on the verge of death, immediately came back to life as if he had been injected with a stimulant. Is he still human? Yihua could be seen raising his hands. The entire sea surface immediately began boiling, and seawater could be seen surging upwards, forming legs, waist, chest, arms, and head. 8 giant water demon gods surrounded the island and looked down at all of family's people. Heavy Dust was already trembling in fear. In front of the giant water demon gods, he was just like a wild boar, and he could only raise his head to look up at the giant water demon gods. Not only Heavy Dust, the legs of everyone in family were trembling, and those who were slightly weaker had already collapsed onto the ground. Meanwhile, Kongsher had already fainted from fear. This was not the end. Below Yihua, the seawater was rising in a straight line, but while it was rising, it was also rapidly freezing, gradually forming a frozen platform. Yihua and the others just happened to be standing on the platform. A frozen throne could be seen rising from the center of the platform. Yihua slowly sat on the throne, then flicked away the cigarette but that was in his hand and shouted faintly, "Why are the 2 of you still not coming over?" Family's people didn't know what this man meant. What 2 of us? Yizizi and Qin Yutong, who were hiding below, let out a sigh, and at the same time, they even touched their buttocks. Jingshan saw 2 figures flying out from the side, and when he saw their appearance, he took in a breath of cold air. So it was them. All of the family members who had seen Qin Yutong and Yizizi felt as if their chests were going to vomit out blood. So it was them. The entire family was actually played around by these 2 women. And they were even killing each other. Coming to the ice platform, Yizizi lowered her head and stood together with Wei Chang and the others, looking just like a child who had done something wrong. Qin Yutong didn't know where she should stand anymore. I don't know what kind of reaction they will have when I jump into brother-in-law's embrace. Of course, I can only think about it. Only an idiot would do something like that in such a big scene. However, where should I stand? I should just stand at the back. Yutong, stand at my side. Yihua said faintly. In any case, Yizizi is my sister-in-law, I have to give Qin a face. Just treat it as me standing at her big sister's side. Qin Yutong was overjoyed, brother-in-law even brought his sister-in-law along when he is acting cool. I really want to kiss brother-in-law. However, I can't show this kind of expression on my face. I can't lose brother-in-law's face. Standing at her brother-in-law's side, Qing Yutong looked at the small island in front of her, the water gods that were standing at the surroundings, and heavy dust who was kneeling at the ruins. This kind of feeling was something that she had never felt before. Wei Chang could be seen taking a small step forward, then shouted out gravely, "Kneel." The 8 water gods shouted out at the same time, "Kneel." A powerful pressure directly pressed onto the backs of all of the people from Ying family, and all of the people who were flying in the air were instantly pressed onto the ground. One by one, the people from Ying family gradually kneeled onto the ground. As the family master, Ying Jingshan was holding on with all his might. How could he possibly kneel? Pfft! A mouthful of blood sprayed out from Ying Jingshan's mouth, and his knee smashed onto the ground. Seeing that all of the people from Ying family were kneeling onto the ground, Yihua said faintly, "The reason why I came here today is to give all of you a way out." Chapter 192. 1 second later. Yihua said faintly, "A wise man submits to circumstances. I admire the two of you. The Ying family, you call this giving time to consider. Others give you a day, but you give me a second." And then he said, "A wise man submits to circumstances." This wasn't good, right? It was too hasty. No matter who you were yesterday, from this moment onwards, you will only listen to one person's orders. Yihua shouted out faintly, "Sun Fang, come out." Sun Fang, who was standing at the back, was startled. Why was she called out at this time? Death Mage pushed the foolish woman. "His honor is asking you to hurry up and run." Sun Fang was still wearing the uniform of a hotel attendant. When the people of the Ying family saw Sun Fang, their heads started buzzing. Could it be that they would have to listen to a hotel attendant from now on? She's the one you'll have to listen to in the future. She'll also pass on my orders. Of course, you can resist, but don't forget the price. I've exterminated a lot of people, and I won't recommend killing one more. After finished speaking, Yihua silently lit up a cigarette. Wei Chang once again shouted in a low voice, "Did you hear me clearly?" The Ying family was silent. A water demon god punched at the crowd. Boom boom boom. The entire island shook violently, as if it was about to explode. A huge shockwave swept across the island, and the entire Ying family's building was reduced to rubble by the punch. "Did you hear me?" Wei Chang once again shouted. The 8 water demon gods had already raised their fists. If they continued to fight, the entire Ying family would be destroyed. "I heard it." Ying Shang shouted. As Ying Shang spoke, more and more members of the Ying family spoke up. In front of absolute strength, all resistance was useless. They could only submit. Lai Gu shouted out, "Be orderly, use honorifics." The entire island could be heard shouting at the same time, "We will obey his honor's command." It has been a long time since I enjoyed this kind of treatment. Yihua slightly closed his eyes. In the past, when I met with this kind of situation, would basically not leave anyone alive. However, it is different now. Everyone has their own use, as long as I make good use of them. Wei Chang, Lai Gu, and Yi Zizi who were standing at the back were very excited. It was as if they had returned to the past, and they really wanted to kill all of them. To Wei Chang and Lai Gu's girlfriends, what they saw tonight had already refreshed their worldview. Sun Fang was still in shock and had yet to recover. In actuality, among all of them, only Qing Yutong was the most surprised. She knew that her brother-in-law was formidable, but she didn't expect that he was formidable to this extent. No wonder the system wants to hug his thigh. Big sister is really lucky. In the future, with brother-in-law protecting her, she could rest assured. Yihua stretched out his hand and formed a token. Sun Fang, you will be able to control these 8 water demonic gods. And that cat. If they disobeyed, they would be killed. However, the giant water demon god can only appear in this sea region. Death Mage immediately signaled with his eyes. If not, if his honor gets angry and kills you, where am I going to find a wife? Of course, Sun Fang knew the rules. She knelt on the ground and received the token with both hands. You all can still live your lives as usual, just that, you all have to listen to her. Yihua emphasized for the last time, then snapped his fingers, and all of them disappeared. The 8 giant water demon gods also turned into seawater, and the ice ceiling throne also quickly melted. If not for heavy dust still kneeling down, everyone would have thought that they were dreaming. Looking at the ancient godly item that fell not far away from them, Ying Jingshan's expression was a bit sluggish. To them, ancient godly items are indeed trash. At this moment, Yihua and the others arrived at the surface of the sea, and soon after, Yihua said faintly, "Everyone, disperse, do what you are supposed to do." Death Mage suddenly said, "Your Honor, subordinate wishes to assist Sun Fang." Approved. Thank you, Your Honor. Death Mage was worried that Sun Fang would not be able to suppress the Singh family by herself. With me here, I can be at ease. It wasn't easy for me to get a wife, I can't let her die just like that. Sun Fang stood at the side. Although she didn't understand what Death Mage was saying, she felt that it was related to her. Your Honor, subordinate will be leaving first. Lai Gu said respectfully. Yihua waved his hand, and Lai Gu's 3 women said respectfully, Your Honor, subordinate will be leaving first. Soon after, Wei Chang brought Tang Wei and left, while Death Mage brought Sun Fang and entered the barrier once again. Yi Zizi pulled on to Qin Yutong, and the 2 prepared to sneak away. What are you 2 doing? Yihua shouted gravely. Yi Zizi pouted her mouth, then immediately raised her butt. Qin Yutong let out a sigh. Brother-in-law teaching sister-in-law a lesson is right and proper. Thus, Qin Yutong learned from Yi Zizi and raised her butt. Yihua originally wanted to say something else, but he didn't expect that the 2 of them would be so self-aware. All right. Clap, 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 clap. Immediately, sounds of pain rang out. After quite a while, Qin Yutong and Yi Zizi held on to their butts and followed behind Yihua. I hit too hard, my butts are all swollen now. Oh right, what kind of family is this? Yihua asked. Qin Yutong rubbed onto her butt, then said with grievance, we don't know either. Zizi doesn't know either. Yihua let out a breath, I was still too casual. If the people from Ming family found out about this, they would probably cry themselves to death in the toilet. Using violence to subdue me, yet I don't know who I subdued. Do you want to know about the 3 big powers? Yutong, come over. Yihua called out. Brother-in-law, you really can't hit her anymore, look, her butt is all swollen. Yihua laughed lightly, don't mess around in the future. Also, don't tell your big sister about this matter. Yihua said seriously. It's better to take it slow with my identity, I'm afraid that Qinya won't be able to accept it immediately. Why? Qin Yutong was confused. Yihua let out a long sigh, I'm afraid that your big sister will feel inferior. After all, I am truly too outstanding. Qin Yutong, brother-in-law, can you not act cool? Yihua immediately raised his hand, and Qin Yutong was so frightened that she hid behind Yi Zizi. Do you understand? I understand, I won't tell big sister, but brother-in-law, you have to find a chance to tell big sister too. Yihua naturally knew that. Back then, when he tried to tell her that he was a cultivator, although he didn't show it, he was still able to feel that Qinya was feeling a bit inferior. If he were to tell her that he was a cultivator immediately, she would feel that she was useless, and then have other thoughts in her mind. After arriving at the hotel, Yihua suddenly recalled that his wife was still at the wedding dress shop, and hurriedly returned. Big Brother's ability to act cool is getting more and more formidable. He is actually telling us to go and be his foil. Yi Zizi said with a smile. I love to see his honor act cool. Zizi, did you notice that every time your big brother acts cool, he has to smoke? Ah. Why is that? My big sister said that brother-in-law contracted a kind of illness that is incurable. It's called acting cool after smoking syndrome. There's such an illness. It sounds so awesome. Zizi, you cannot learn from your big brother. Girls cannot smoke, and even more so, they cannot fight. They also cannot go to bars, and they also cannot put out fires. Big sister Qing, what are we going to wear to the bar tonight? I feel that pink loli attire suits you very well. What should I wear then? Sailor Moon Warrior. Chapter 193. Yihua hurriedly ran to the bridal dress shop, only to see that Qingya had fallen asleep while leaning on the sofa. This foolish woman doesn't even know that I should go back first. After changing his clothes, Yihua lightly carried up his woman. Furthermore, it was a princess carry. Qingya pursed her lips, then wrapped her arms around Yihua's neck. You are back. If you are tired, why don't you go back and rest? Yihua said lightly. I was waiting for you. I was afraid that you wouldn't be able to find me. Yihua laughed. How could I not be able to find you? Qingya smiled tenderly and buried her head onto Yihua's chest. Qingya felt sweet in her heart. Many things had happened in the Ying family in the past 2 days. It could be considered a calamity. Fortunately, it was contained. However, Sun Fang's first order was that no one was allowed to spread what happened tonight. Otherwise, the entire clan would be exterminated. Death Mage was standing right behind his woman, looking at her giving out orders one after another. Why is that back view of hers becoming more and more enchanting the more I look at it? Especially when he saw her scolding others, it was really beautiful. The rebuilding of the Ying family was going on intensely. Sun Fang had been a sect leader before, so she knew how to manage things. Actually, all she had to do was to keep these family members in check. After giving the order, Sun Fang and Death Mage found a place to lean against each other and started playing the game. In actuality, Sun Fang had forgotten one thing. The token that she had in her hand was able to control 8 giant water demonic gods. These giant water demonic gods were summoned by Yihua, and their strength was far above Death Mage's. As long as Sun Fang was willing, she would be able to kill Death Mage at any time. However, for some unknown reason, Sun Fang seemed to have chosen to forget about the matter regarding the giant water demon god, and was still using her own method to get rid of Death Mage. At this moment, in Longtan City, in a leisure bar, Wei Chang brought Tang Wei and appeared in the toilet of the bar. Tang Wei was still very shocked. That scene just now seemed like something out of a sci-fi movie. That gigantic water man almost destroyed the island with a single punch, and this was just one. His honor is too formidable. When I think about how I had to send a love letter to his honor, I feel so embarrassed. Uncle Wei, it's already so late, I'll go to your house to sleep. Tang Wei tiptoed and said shyly. She was still in a state of excitement and really wanted to do something shameful with Uncle Wei. Wei Chang patted Tang Wei's head. Did you forget that Uncle Wei has a car? Uncle Wei can send you back. Tang Wei, Uncle Wei was the most honest man she had ever met. After walking out of the toilet, Tang Wei pulled onto Wei Chang. Uncle Wei, they are still there. Wei Chang abruptly slapped onto his own head. I forgot to tell his honor about this matter. Lil Tang, do you want to change? I'll go ask them what they want. Okay, Uncle Wei. Wei Chang walked out to the hall outside and saw a man and a woman sitting on a booth. The two of them had grave expressions, as though they were making a big decision. Sorry, this restaurant is closed now. Wei Chang revealed a professional smile. The man had a guitar case beside him. It seemed to be very important to him. I want to see Black Robe. The man directly stated his purpose. That's right, he was Xiao Yi. The woman beside him was Shu Nan. Xiao Yi pondered for a long time at home and came to the conclusion that the Xiao family was hopeless. However, Black Robe suddenly appeared in his mind. With Black Robe's help, the Xiao clan would not perish. No matter what request Black Robe made, he would agree to it. He even brought the Xianyuan sword with him this time. 1 life plus the Xianyuan sword, in exchange for the safety of his woman and child. As Xiao Yi's wife, Shu Nan seemed to have sensed something. That day, she blocked her husband's path. If Xiao Yi didn't tell her where he was going, she would die in front of her husband. Xiao Yi had no choice but to tell Shu Nan about his plan. Without thinking about anything, Shu Nan followed her husband to the restaurant. Back then, Xiao Yi asked his wife why she wanted to follow him to the restaurant. Shu Nan smiled very beautifully and said, I have a life as well. At that moment, Xiao Yi discovered that he was the luckiest person in the world. If he wasn't lucky, how could he have married them? Although he had brought his wife over, Xiao Yi would definitely not let his wife die. What are you talking about? I don't understand. Wei Chang pretended to ask. I want to see Black Robe. I have a very important matter to discuss with him. Right now, Xiao Yi's complexion was extremely bad. He was on the verge of collapsing. If the matter is not settled by tonight, he might not be able to see tomorrow's sun. Shu Nan tightly held on to her husband's ice-cold hand, and her heart was bleeding. Wei Chang didn't know how his honor was going to deal with this Xiao Yi, and thus, he didn't want to care about it. You can go back first, there is no Black Robe here. Wei Chang said faintly. Shu Nan knelt down in front of Wei Chang. I beg you, please let us see Black Robe. My husband is going to die soon, and he only wants to see Black Robe one last time before he dies. Wei Chang looked towards Xiao Yi, and discovered that Xiao Yi was indeed like what Shu Nan had said. Xiao Yi probably wouldn't be able to live past tonight. Let Death Mage come over. Forget it, the way he speaks is already making others anxious to death. Forget it, I should just go and ask his honor for his opinion. Right now, Yi Hua just happened to be sleeping while hugging onto Qingya, and Wei Chang's message suddenly rang out. Your Honor, Xiao Yi is here. Xiao Yi. Why isn't he properly cultivating at home? What is he doing here? I don't know, but looking at him, it seems like he won't be able to live past tonight. Yi Hua asked confusedly, is he going to die? And, Your Honor, do you want me to keep him? Yi Hua thought for a bit. I just subdued a Black Robe in the south, and the north still lacks a Black Robe. Keep him. Yes. After finished speaking, Yi Hua continued hugging onto Qingya and continued sleeping. So comfortable. Wei Chang took a look at Xiao Yi and Shu Nan who was kneeling on the ground. You two wait for a while. After finished speaking, Wei Chang turned around and left. Shu Nan was overjoyed. She stood up and held on to her husband's hand. Brother Xiao, hold on. Cough, cough, cough. Shu Nan, in the future, this family will be relying on you. If you meet someone who is better than me, don't feel pressured. Xiao Yi was very weak, his face was completely devoid of blood. If not for his strong spiritual energy supporting him, he would have died a few days ago. Shu Nan shouted out, Brother Xiao. What kind of words are you saying? I, Shu Nan, am your woman in this life, and I will still be your woman in my next life. Xiao Yi gasped for breath, and he didn't even have the strength to speak anymore. Suddenly, a black whirlpool appeared in front of the two, and a figure could be seen walking out of the whirlpool. The figure's entire body was covered by black fog. Xiao Yi and Shu Nan looked blankly at the figure. The scene back then was still vivid in their minds. That figure was that black-gowned boss. Wei Chang was having a hard time pretending to be Xiao Yi, and Xiao Tang was still waiting outside. "What's the matter?" Wei Chang asked gravely, and his voice had completely changed. Xiao Yi could be seen to be very excited. Hugging onto his guitar case, his entire body trembled as he lied on the ground. Slowly opening the guitar case, a golden bright and dazzling Xianyuan sword appeared in front of everyone. Xiao Yi could be seen kneeling in front of Wei Chang. Just a moment ago, Xiao Yi moved a bit, and right now, he was gasping for breath. If it wasn't for Shu Nan supporting him, he would have already fallen. I can give you my sword and my life. Can you protect my wife and child?" Xiao Yi said this sentence intermittently, but to Xiao Yi, after saying this sentence, he felt that it was even more difficult for him to breathe, and his entire body began trembling. Chapter 194. Wei Chang stretched out his hand, and Xianyuan's sword floated in his hand, then said faintly, "This sword is trash, your life is also trash." Letting go of his hand, Xianyuan's sword fell back into the box, but Wei Chang intentionally left a trace of his own aura on it. Hearing Wei Chang's words and Xianyuan's sword falling down, Xiao Yi coughed violently and tried to crawl towards Wei Chang, begging him to save his wife and child. "However, you are very lucky, I like to save Trash's life." A black fog drilled into Xiao Yi's head, and the latter immediately fainted. Brother Xiao. Tell him, I can save him, and also kill him." Shu Nan was very sensible. She knelt down and said, "From now on, Xiao family will listen to Lord's orders." Wei Chang nodded his head, then disappeared and appeared in the back alley. "Xiao Tang, let's go." Wei Chang smiled and said. Tang Weiwei smiled gently. In the leisure bar, Shu Nan was currently checking her husband's pulse, and finally let out a sigh of relief. Her husband's pulse is stable, and his aura is even more vigorous than before. This person is too powerful to actually be able to save a person who is about to die. Shu Nan helped Xiao Yi to a seat and waited patiently for 10 minutes. Shu Nan went into a daze. "Why is Brother Xiao crying? Isn't this a woman's specialty? Where am I?" Xiao Yi raised his head and asked in a daze. Shu Nan's heart sunk. Did something happen? "Brother Xiao. Look at me." Shu Nan pressed onto Xiao Yi's cheek and asked nervously. Xiao Yi, who was in a daze, suddenly smiled and hugged onto his woman. Shu Nan was startled for a moment and punched fiercely. "You bastard, you scared me to death. I will beat you to death." Xiao Yi hugged onto the woman tightly, and after a long time, he said gently, "Shu Nan, thank you. Brother Xiao." Listening to that powerful heartbeat, Shu Nan was finally at ease. "All right, let's go back." Xiao Yi stood up and looked at Xianyuan's sword that was on the ground. His expression didn't change much as he closed the box and picked it up. "Brother Xiao, are we leaving just like this?" Shu Nan took a look at the surroundings and asked confusedly. Xiao Yi nodded and a black mist flashed through his black eyes. "And there are still many things waiting for us to do. I want to see how many people want to betray me." Shu Nan nodded. It was a miracle that they had escaped from death this time. Even so, it would be even more dangerous next. Everyone stared at the Xianyuan sword in Brother Xiao's hand. Brother Xiao seemed to be planning to continue pretending to be sick to lure out those hidden enemies. This was good. Just like that, a miraculous day passed. The Ying family, one of the 3 giants, sank into a sea of pain, while the Xiao family, an ordinary family, had a day of great joy. This incident was enough to prove that luck was really important. He was not lying. Alright, I was lying. In actuality, everything is within Yihua's control. The next morning, Yihua was once again pulled up by Qingye. Of course, Qingye only managed to pull Yihua up after pulling him up for an hour. Qingye didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Such a grown man is actually dawdling on the bed, and he still won't get down without kissing me a few times, acting shamelessly. Yihua, who was pulled out of bed, was in a very bad mood. Since I, the Supreme Overlord, am in a bad mood, there is definitely someone else who is going to be out of luck. Qin Yutong and Yizizi were two unlucky fellows. Today, they were filming an outdoor scene. They were definitely tired. Even if Qin Yutong and Yizizi wanted to run away, they wouldn't be able to. Their butts were still hurting. However, this pair of bridesmaids was indeed interesting. This outdoor scene was almost as good as a celebrity's autograph signing session. Other than the cameraman, there was also a group of people taking photos of the bridesmaids. After all, the man was handsome, the woman was beautiful, and there was also a little lowly. This combination was too good. 2,500 kilometers away, there was an even more miserable scene. Big brother, do we really have to do this? Little brother Red asked sorrowfully. Big brother Green took a puff of his cigarette, then looked at little Ollie who was standing at the side and said gravely, "Sell, 3,000 RMB, are you really going to sell it?" That's right, Big brother Green had the idea of selling the car. This Wuling Hongguang was bought by me using all of my savings. Although I bought a second-hand car for 30,000 RMB, and all of them were used to transport goods, if I don't sell it now, what am I going to eat? Big brother, let's go and get the money. Big brother Green stretched out his hand and slapped. Are you stupid? If I were to go and get the money, wouldn't I be exposing my position? This is possible as well. Little brother Red asked puzzledly. Nonsense. Once I withdraw the money, the bank will know where to withdraw it. Then we will be surrounded. That's how it is on TV. Why don't you grow a brain? Little brother Red pouted his mouth. Who in the world would think about such things when watching TV? Hey, are you still selling this car? The boss of the black shop shouted impatiently. This car was not bad, and he could earn a few thousand if he sold it. Big brother Green hastily said, "Sell." Dong Li could be seen walking to Big brother Green's side, then pulling onto the corner of Big brother Green's clothes, Uncle Green. Big brother Green, who originally had a stern face, turned around and smiled. "Ollie, what's wrong?" "Uncle Green will treat you to McDonald's." "Uncle Green, Ollie doesn't want to eat McDonald's anymore, it's not delicious." Dong Li was naturally able to tell that her two uncles didn't have any money. How could it be possible for them to go and eat such expensive food? Big brother Green carried Dong Li and asked with a smile, "What does Ollie want to eat?" "Uncle Green will buy it for you." Ollie wants to eat buns. The Green and Red brothers sighed in their hearts. What a sensible child. Rubbing onto Ollie's head, Big brother Green said with a smile, "All right, I will ask Uncle Red to buy meat buns for you." Looking at his underling who was bringing Ollie to buy meat buns, Big brother Green pointed at the motorcycle at the side and asked, "Boss, how much is your motorcycle?" 1,000 renminbi. The boss immediately asked for an exorbitant price. Big brother Green had ridden a lot of motorcycles in the past. Taking a look at the motorcycle, it was actually not bad, but 1,000 renminbi was too expensive. "Are you selling it for 500 renminbi?" "Not selling." "Forget it then." Hey, little brother, please wait, we can discuss the price." The boss immediately shouted out. "That motorcycle had been placed here for 2 months, it is best for me to sell it now, 800 renminbi, you can take it." "Bye-bye." 600. "Forget it." Alright, 500 renminbi, you can take it." The boss didn't want to waste too much space on the motorcycle. Taking the 2,500 renminbi and a motorcycle that was emitting black smoke, the three headed south. When it rained, they would hide from the rain. When it rained at night, they would randomly find a place to sleep. Although it was quite embarrassing, the entire journey was filled with laughter. At night, it rained again. Big Brother Green hurriedly looked for a place to take shelter from the rain. Fortunately, there was an old house that had collapsed by the roadside. The Green and Red brothers' afro heads had already collapsed, and it seemed like they were going to need to be ligated. Little Ali's face looked very crafty, but his pair of eyes were very bright. This damn weather in the South Shore is filled with water. Little Brother Red shook off the water that was on his head and sighed. Chapter 195. Ali rubbed onto his stomach. In actuality, I am very hungry. Ali isn't hungry. Dong Huangli said, then moved her body closer to the fire. After interacting with Ali for the past few days, the Green and Red brothers knew Ali's personality. She was especially caring and considerate. Dong Huangli stood up, then walked to the back of Big Brother Green and said with a smile, "Uncle Green, you have been riding a motorcycle for an entire day. Ali will give you a massage." "Thank you, Ali. I'm not tired at all. I'm in high spirits." Actually, Big Brother Green's shoulders were aching, and he felt that his shoulders were about to be dislocated. However, Ali was still massaging Big Brother Green's shoulders. Little Brother Red suddenly said angrily, "Big Brother, the people in the family are too vicious. They actually reported us, and even said that we stole chickens from the neighboring village 1 year ago." Sigh, a friend in need is a friend indeed. I have decided to withdraw from the family. Big Brother Green lit up a wrinkled cigarette. "Good idea. How about we start our own clan? What's his name?" The underling was very excited. Big Brother Green spat out a mouthful of smoke, and said indifferently, "Let's call it the Buried Love Clan. F***ck me. What a good name. It's deep, artistic, and creative." "In that case, Ali wants to join as well," Dong Huangli said with a smile on her face. Big Brother Green said with a smile, "It's fine if you're just a brat, we'll talk about it when you grow up." "If Ali wants it, haha, our Burying Love family already has 3 members, who is going to be the boss?" Little Brother Red stood up and said, "You all should quickly acknowledge me as the boss." Dong Huangli immediately raised her hand. "Ali will be the boss." Big Brother Green was speechless. Little Brother Red stood up and said with a smile, "Ali, what's so good about being the boss? Watch Uncle Red show you a spiral-style Thomas spin." Poke, poke, poke. For a moment, dust filled the air, and Big Brother Green and Dong Huangli immediately covered their mouths and noses. "Don't F***king turn around, our back mountain was flattened by you." Big Brother Green couldn't take it anymore. Little Brother Red clapped his hands and stood up. "Big Brother, during the family competition last year, you were ranked first in Thomas Spin." Uncle Green is number 1. So formidable. Dong Huangli cried out in surprise. Dong Huangli felt that being ranked first was already very formidable. Big Brother Green was very modest. "It's all in the past. A real man doesn't talk about his past achievements." "Big Brother, show it to Ali." Dong Huangli also said, "Uncle Green, Ali wants to watch you spin." "Alright, Uncle Green will perform for Ali." Big Brother Green could be seen patting his buttocks as he walked towards his little brother's position. Poke, poke, poke. As expected of the first place in the family competition, it was as if a smokescreen had been thrown at the scene. Big Brother Green's figure had disappeared. Dong Huangli, cough, cough, cough. Little Brother Red, cough, 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 cough. Little Brother Red thought to himself. To think that the one who said that I flattened the rear mountain was obviously you, Big Brother. Happy times always passed quickly. The three of them gradually fell asleep and continued their journey south the next day. 10 days later, the three of them stood at the plaza of Long and City and looked at the huge statue. A middle-aged woman took a look and slowly took out 5 yuan and put it on the ground. "Auntie! Come back, I look like a beggar with that eye of yours." Little brother Red shouted out. The auntie turned around and gave him a look of disdain. "Are you crazy? It's not like it's for you." The corner of little brother Red's mouth twitched. "Are you trying to say that I am even inferior to a beggar?" Dong Wangli picked up the 5 RMB that was on the ground, then said to the auntie, "Thank you, auntie." The auntie walked back and took out 10 yuan. "Little friend, go buy something to eat. The motorcycle broke down on the way here, and it was the kind that couldn't be repaired." Big Brother Green also used up all his money, but he still insisted on not withdrawing money. If he really wanted to withdraw money, he would only do it as a last resort. While holding on to the money in her hand, Dong Wangli, who had a sneaky look on her face, said with a smile, "Uncle, Ollie has money now. I will treat you all to a meal." The green and red brothers stroked Ollie's head and said with a smile, "Uncle is not hungry. Ollie can eat by himself." "This won't do. If uncles aren't going to eat, Ollie isn't going to eat as well." Dong Wangli pouted her small mouth. Dong Wangli had a look of, "If uncles aren't going to eat, I'm going to go on a hunger strike." Upon hearing Ollie's words, the green and red brothers glanced at each other. "This sentence is worth it." Dong Wangli bought a steamed bun and pinched it into 3 pieces. However, Dong Wangli's portion was at least half of the steamed bun, and the red and green brothers didn't have much. They found a park and sat on a bench. The 3 of them slowly tasted the world's most delicious steamed buns. "Ollie, now that we have arrived at Long and City, where do your daddy and mommy live?" Big Brother Green asked. "I feel that after going through 81 trials and tribulations, I have finally sent my little ancestor to their destination." Let's go," Dong Wangli said. The green and red brothers went into a daze. "What do you mean? Let's go? It's Qing, right?" Dong Wangli said with a pure accent. "Big brother, I have heard of bars before, but I have never heard of it before." Little brother Red said confusedly. Big Brother Green stretched out his hand and slapped on Little Brother Red's hand. "Are you stupid? My phone is out of battery, let's search one by one then." Little Brother Red let out a breath. "This is such a big city, how are we supposed to search? Seems like this adventure of mine is not over yet." After finishing eating, the 3 of them began searching for the so-called Qing bar. However, they suddenly discovered something. The Qing bar seems to be closed during the day. Walking to the bustling street, the 3 of them indeed became the center of attention. Suddenly, a burst of fragrance wafted over, causing the 3 of them to stop their footsteps and look towards their right. King Song Mansion's hotpot restaurant. The green and red brothers pursed their lips, and Dong Wangli directly swallowed her saliva. "There are so many people queuing up," Dong Wangli muttered. "Big brother, the food inside looks very delicious." Little Brother Red was about to drool. "That's right," Dong Wangli said foolishly. Suddenly, a man who was wearing a suit stood at the entrance and smoked. Looking at the 3 of them, the man's brows wrinkled. "The 3 of you, stand further away. I don't want to affect my customer's appetite." Dong Wangli pulled onto Big Brother Green's hand. "Uncle, let's hurry up and leave, don't affect them while they are eating." Big Brother Green was in a bad mood. "What are you shouting about? This road belongs to your family, even people who come from the countryside are more cultured than you. You still dare to talk back to me, get lost, if not see how I am going to take care of you." Dong Wangli pointed at the manager and said with a childish voice, "Uncle, you are a bad person. Yo, where did this little beggar come from? Your mouth is so unforgiving, you don't even have a bit of upbringing." The Green and Red brothers looked at little Ali with bloodshot eyes and immediately exploded. The Green and Red brothers rolled up their sleeves and shouted, "You fucking dare to say that one more time." Seeing that the Green and Red brothers were going to risk their lives, the manager immediately hid inside the restaurant. "If you still don't leave, I am going to call the police. Fuck, if I don't teach you a lesson today, I will dye my hair green." After speaking, Little Brother Red rushed into the restaurant, scaring the people that were queuing up to immediately move aside. Big Brother Green also rushed into the restaurant, and immediately, sounds of fighting could be heard coming from inside the restaurant. In less than a minute, the Red and Green brothers ran out of the restaurant with a panicked look on their faces, then carried Dong Huang Li and ran away madly. More than 10 chefs could be seen rushing out of the restaurant, and each of them was holding onto a kitchen knife. "Big brother, there is an alley over here, run over there." Big Brother Green slapped onto Little Brother Red's back. "What if that alley is blocked? Quickly run." "You are right." Chapter 196. The Green and Red brothers, who were carrying Dong Huang Li, had no idea how long they had been running for. In any case, they no longer had any strength to continue running. "Ollie, are you okay?" Big Brother Green gasped for breath. Fortunately, it had practiced the Thomas spin before, so its physical strength could keep up. Dong Huang Li said with a baby voice, "Uncle Green, lower your head." And Big Brother Green was confused. However, he still squatted down slowly. Dong Huang Li could be seen using her sleeve to wipe off Big Brother Green's sweat. Upon seeing this, Little Brother Red immediately squatted down together with his big brother and said, "Ollie, Uncle Red wants it too. And Ollie will help Uncle Red wipe his sweat right away." Dong Huang Li said with a smile. Originally, the two of them were very angry. However, when they saw how attentive Dong Huang Li was, all of the anger in their hearts disappeared. Dong Huang Li is too obedient to the point that I don't want her to suffer any harm. The three of them continued to wander around in this unfamiliar city. Dong Huang Li was standing in the middle of the Red and Green brothers, holding onto their big hands, and jumping around from time to time. To Dong Huang Li, although the past few days were bitter, she was still very happy. Compared to when she was in Voidless Realm, she was much happier. When the night arrived, the Green and Red brothers began to bring Dong Huang Li along as they went from bar to bar to bar. However, it was a pity that they did not manage to find anything. "Uncle Green, Uncle Red, Ollie wants to confess something to the two of you." Dong Huang Li stopped her footsteps, and with a pitiful look on her face, Dong Huang Li slightly lowered her head and interlocked her fingers. With such a cute look, no matter how big the matter was, no one could bear to hit or scold her. The two squatted beside Dong Huang Li, then asked curiously, "Little ancestor, what do you want to confess?" Actually, the person that Ollie came here to look for isn't Daddy and Mommy. Ollie came here to look for Aunt Qing." After finished speaking, Dong Huang Li pinched onto her own ears, seemingly as if she was preparing to receive punishment. The Green and Red brothers went into a daze. Big Brother Green rubbed onto Dong Huang Li's head and said, "It's alright, let's just look for Aunt Qing." But calling her Aunt Qing, this name is very strange. If Dong Huang Li knew what her two uncles were thinking, she would definitely faint. Her surname is Qing. Furthermore, she is meeting an online friend. After walking for a while, a bar called Baidu appeared in front of the three of them. There were quite a lot of people there, and they could even line up. Big Brother Green asked, "Ollie, what characteristics does your Aunt Qing have?" Dong Huang Li thought for a while. "Aunt Qing often says that I am beautiful, and also have a lot of money. Beautiful and rich." Dong Huang Li said. The Green and Red brothers were startled. As expected of a child from a rich family. However, to be able to raise such a sensible child, there must be a scholar in the family. That's right, his father would exterminate entire clans at the slightest provocation, and his mother would threaten people at the slightest provocation. The green and red brothers walked forward and asked a man who was wearing a black jacket and sunglasses, "Brother, do you have someone called Aunt Ching here?" The jacketed man took off his sunglasses and sized up Dong Huangli, then looked at Dong Huangli, then said gravely, "Come in with me." The green and red brothers were overjoyed. The heavens have eyes. After going through untold hardships, we have finally found our Aunt Ching. Dong Huangli was also very happy. I am finally able to see the legendary Aunt Ching. After entering the bar, Dong Huangli covered her ears. It's so noisy. I don't like this place at all. On the other hand, the green and red brothers were very curious. The bars in this big city were indeed very fashionable. There were so many beautiful women dressed very sexily, but compared to them, there was still a gap. Their attire was the most fashionable nowadays. The man in the jacket led the three of them to the second floor. They walked through several dark corridors and pushed open one of the doors. It's inside. The green and red brothers brought Dong Huangli into the small house. However, the situation was different from what they had imagined. There was a table with poker cards and an ashtray full of cigarette butts, melon seeds, peanuts, and beer bottles. It looked very messy. A man was sitting on a boss's chair, holding a woman with heavy makeup in his arms. His hands were already inside the woman's clothes. Big Brother Green immediately covered Dong Huangli's eyes. Children shouldn't look at Dong Huangli's eyes. "Sister Ching, someone is looking for you," the man in the jacket said as he stood at the side. The man patted the woman's butt, and the woman said sweetly, "Brother Kuan, you're so annoying, huh?" Qing Lian walked over to the front of the green and red brothers and took a glance at them. Soon after, Qing Lian squatted down and looked towards Dong Huangli. "Not bad, although they are a bit dirty, they can still be counted as beauties." Dong Huangli immediately hid behind Big Brother Green and looked at the woman in front of her vigilantly. "Her voice is so ugly, she is not Aunt Ching. Tell me, how much?" Qing Lian smiled. Little Brother Red wrinkled his brows and said, "Are you sick? We are here to look for someone." Big Brother Green knew that he had gone to the wrong place, and he immediately pulled onto Dong Huangli and walked towards the exit. The man in the jacket blocked the door and flashed a knife in his hand. His intention couldn't be more obvious. "This isn't a place where you can come and go as you please," Qing Lian said coldly. Kuan Chong, who was sitting in the boss's chair, stood up, took out a cigar, and sniffed it. "The little girl stays. You can go." It wasn't that the green and red brothers didn't mingle in the outside world before, it was just that they had already washed their hands of the outside world and decided not to mingle anymore. In this kind of situation, there was no need to say anything more. Just fight and run. The two of them could be seen immediately kicking the jacketed man to the ground, then carrying Dong Huangli, they ran away. Kuan Chong picked up the walkie-talkie on the table. Two non-mainstream people ran out. "Beat them up. Bring the girl back to me." "Yes." Qing Lian giggled and said, "When this girl grows up, I'm sure she'll earn a lot of money. I'll feed you until you grow up first." Annoying outside, the green and red brothers were already surrounded. In this narrow passageway, there were 5 people at the front and 5 people at the back. "Big Brother, what should we do? What should we do? Who said that non-mainstream people don't know how to fight?" Dong Huangli also wanted to go up and help, but she was immediately pulled back by the 2 brothers. "Big Brother, there are too many people." Little Brother Red held on to his arm when he saw that his arm had turned red. The more they fought, the more people there were. Furthermore, the other party had weapons. Big Brother Green carried on to Dong Huangli, then gestured towards the window. This little brother naturally understood what Dong Huangli meant by jumping out of the window. Big brother Green could be seen taking the lead. While carrying on to Dong Huangli, he used his arm to smash the window. Luckily, it was only the second floor, and furthermore, it wasn't his first time jumping onto the second floor. "Ollie, are you alright?" Big brother Green asked hurriedly. Dong Huangli was already crying. "Uncles treat me too well," Dong Huangli said while choking with emotions. "Ollie is fine." At this moment, little brother Red jumped down from the window and shouted out, "Big brother, quickly leave." Sure enough, over 10 youngsters rushed out from the back door while holding onto steel pipes and fruit knives. Big brother Green cursed inwardly, then carried on to Dong Huangli and ran away. While running, little brother Red cursed out loudly, "Did you guys run marathons before? You guys have already run a few streets, yet you are still chasing after me. How can the city's hoodlums run so well?" Big brother Green cursed out. The chase was still continuing. The Green and Red brothers were already out of breath from running, and the group of hoodlums behind them were the same as well. However, they still didn't give up. Little brother Red turned around and pointed at the hoodlums and shouted out, "How big of a hatred do you guys have for me to chase after you guys for a few kilometers?" One of the hoodlums could be seen holding onto the railing and said while gasping for breath, I just can't stand you non-mainstream people. Fuck. If it wasn't for me being hungry today, I would have already knocked you down." Little brother Red was very imposing, but his appearance wasn't impressive at all. "Brothers, chop them to death." Little brother Red cursed out, then ran away once again. Chapter 197. The boss of the delinquents at the back signaled to the delinquents to surround them. This was the advantage of being a local tyrant, they knew the location of the delinquents. While carrying Dong Huangli, Little Red ran into the alleyway. However, just when he ran to the center of the alleyway, the road in front of him was blocked. Big brother Green stretched out his hand and slapped, "Where are the bends? Open a path for me." "Big brother, I didn't know that it would be like this either. There are indeed a lot of bends in our village, while in the big city, there are a lot of bends." Little brother Red felt wronged. Dong Huangli said in a low voice, "Uncle, let's surrender, Oli has a way." "Surrender? That's impossible, it's impossible in this lifetime." Big brother Green looked to the side. "There is actually a bar here as well. Aren't you afraid of closing down by opening a bar here?" "Ching Bar, the name is too ugly." Big brother Green said gravely, "Let's hide inside first." "Good idea." Without thinking, the two immediately pushed open the door and entered the house beside them. Those delinquents hurriedly ran over, but did not rush into the house. "Big brother, what should we do?" "What else can we do? Let's go." Not long later, all of the delinquents left. In actuality, in Longtan City, all of the bars wouldn't take the initiative to provoke this bar. It wasn't that they didn't provoke this bar before, it was that they couldn't afford to provoke this bar, because this bar was called Ching Bar. Green and Red brothers laid at the entrance of the bar and looked outside with a puzzled look. Why did they all run away? "Uncle, they all ran away." Dong Huangli was also feeling dizzy. Dong Huangli was completely confused. Suddenly, a voice rang out from behind. "Sorry, the bar is already closed." Wei Chang said courteously, just like a gentleman. Green and Red brothers turned around and said embarrassedly, all right, we will leave now." Dong Huangli could be seen turning around and saying with a childish voice, "Sorry for disturbing." When Wei Chang saw Dong Huangli's face, his pitch-black eyes immediately became serious. Why does this child look so much like his honor? Furthermore, there is actually a slight aura being emitted out from her body. This aura, wait. Wei Chang's expression changed greatly. looking very sinister. This loud shout startled Tang Wei, who was cleaning at the back. She immediately ran over and asked, "Uncle Wei, what happened?" Wei Chang slowly walked towards Dong Huangli. The Green and Red brothers immediately stood in front of Dong Huangli, and the Green and Red brothers looked like they were going to risk their lives to block Dong Huangli's path. Right now, Wei Chang was very emotional, and even Tang Wei was unable to hold him back. Bang! The Green and Red brothers were sent flying to the sides, knocked against the wall, and fainted. "Uncle Green, Uncle Red!" Dong Huangli shouted out anxiously. She wanted to run over and check on their injuries, but her body was bound by a formless power. Dong Huangli could be seen glaring at Wei Chang, then said with a childish voice, "Bad uncle, let go of me. You're a bad person." "Uncle Wei!" Tang Wei shouted out worriedly. Wei Chang didn't pay attention to Dong Huangli and was fixedly staring at Dong Huangli. All kinds of possibilities were appearing in his mind. "Let me go." Dong Huangli suddenly became enraged, and her pair of eyes immediately flickered with a red light. Dong Huangli's powerful aura burst out, and she actually broke free from Wei Chang's restraint, then threw her small fist towards Wei Chang. Right now, Wei Chang was extremely excited. This aura is actually the same as his honor's aura. Then who was she? Moreover, a little girl was actually able to break free from his restraints. This was too unbelievable. Wei Chang stretched out his index finger, and Dong Huangli's small fist struck onto Wei Chang's index finger. A berserk qi swept out in all directions. Wei Chang hurriedly dispelled this wave of qi, otherwise he would have to clean up again. Dong Huangli, who stretched out her small fist, seemed to have used too much strength, then slowly closed her eyes. Wei Chang stretched out his hand and hugged onto Dong Huangli. "Uncle Wei, she?" Tang Wei asked curiously. "Xiao Tang, Uncle Wei won't be sending you back today. Something big happened." Wei Chang held onto Dong Huangli's small hand and sensed the aura within Dong Huangli's body. "That's right. This is his honor's aura, and it is actually so pure." Tang Wei wrinkled her brows and said worriedly, "Uncle Wei, I'll stay here and accompany you then." Wei Chang nodded his head, then immediately contacted his honor. "I'm afraid that his honor's vacation will end in advance." Yi Hua, who was far away in Sanya, was currently feeling rather comfortable. Ever since that day when they were filming the outdoor scene, Yi Hua and Qin Yutong couldn't bear to watch on anymore. Yi Zizi calculated for a bit. In this 1 hour, Yi Hua would kiss at least 10 times. Qin Yutong calculated for a bit. Big sister would be kissed at least 240 times a day. So scary, indeed. Sometimes, not only would Yi Hua take the initiative, Qingye had also learned to take the initiative. This made Yi Hua very happy. In the end, the two of them indulged in pleasure to the point that they forgot about their duties and duties. If they didn't kiss each other, they would feel that something was missing. In actuality, this also meant that the relationship between Yi Hua and Qingye had already risen to a certain level. In the past, Qingye would passively accept it, and sometimes, she would even say that she wanted Yi Hua to admit that she was a swindler. But now, there was no need for that at all. For example, right now, Yi Hua was fiercely biting onto Qingye, and Qingye had a look of enjoyment on her face as she hugged onto Yi Hua's neck. After a long time, they finally separated. "My lips are already swollen from being sucked on by you." Qingye pursed her cherry lips. This hateful fellow is becoming more and more like a child. Yi Hua directly carried Qingye into his embrace and lightly caressed Qingye's lower abdomen. Feeling the little fellow's aura, "It's very pure. Yi Hua, what do you think our child should be called?" Qingye asked curiously while lying on Yi Hua's chest. Yi Hua said faintly, "That is definitely the most resounding name. Could it be Yi Shengliang?" Yi Hua couldn't help but knock on Qingye's forehead. To think that you can even think of something like that. You hit my forehead again. What should I do if I become stupid? Qinya puffed out her cheeks and looked at Yi Hua with hidden bitterness. Seeing that the woman was acting coquettishly, Yi Hua couldn't help but press down on her and fiercely bite down on her. So soft and so sweet. Your honor. Your honor. Just as Yi Hua was enjoying his wife's lips, Wei Chang's exclamation rang out in his mind. While kissing onto Qinya's lips, Yi Hua replied coldly, "If there's nothing, don't disturb me." Your honor, something big happened. Yi Hua sat up and wrinkled his brows. Wei Chang never talked about something big before. Even if he never talked about it before. To be able to make me so flustered. Yi Hua, what's wrong? Qinya asked concernedly. Yi Hua shook his head, then walked to the balcony and lit up a cigarette. What's going on? Your honor, you should quickly come back and take a look. This matter is really hard to explain. Look at what? Yi Hua asked coldly. This fellow's so-called big matter is looking at things. Looking at a person, your honor, this matter cannot be sloppy. Since Qinya had already said it to this point, Yi Hua didn't ask anymore. However, he wasn't very anxious. Walking into the house, Yi Hua asked, Qinya, book the earliest flight tomorrow, we are going back. Did something happen? Qinya immediately became worried. Yi Hua laughed lightly, don't worry, it's just a small matter. Stop bragging, if it's just a small matter, then what's the big matter? Yi Hua stretched out his hand and lifted onto Qinya's chin, then said faintly, to me, you are my big matter. Yi Hua. You have changed. Qinya cried out in surprise. You've become glib. I want the original version of Yi Hua, you are too bad. I want to downgrade. Sorry, I will only become worse and worse. After speaking, Yi Hua pressed onto Qinya once again. In the past, I felt that the king not attending morning court was bullsh*t, but now, I feel that the saying is indeed somewhat reasonable. Chapter 198. Qin Yutong and Yi Zizi were lying on the ground all the way back, not knowing what the two of them were doing at night. 1.5 hours later, they arrived at Longan City's airport. Qin Yutong and Yi Zizi continued to act as walking zombies. Qinya looked at her own little sister and shook her head. How old are you already, and yet you are still playing around with Yi Zizi? To be precise, it should be Yi Zizi playing with Qin Yutong. 40 minutes later, the group finally arrived at the entrance of Leisure Bar. Yi Hua, I want to eat Chinese jianbing, brother-in-law. I want to eat too, big brother. Zizi wants to eat too. I also want to add eggs and ham sausage, Yi Hua said faintly. Carry the luggage inside by yourself. Brother-in-law, aren't you embarrassed to let 3 beautiful women carry so many things? Yi Hua turned his head around and said to his sister-in-law, moving is fine too. Brother-in-law, how can I let you carry such heavy things? Leave them all to me. I have great strength. Qinya rolled her eyes at her little sister. Where is your moral integrity? Big sister Qin, Zizi has little strength. I will leave it to you. I am going upstairs to sleep. After finished speaking, Zizi held on to Qinya's hand and bounced into Leisure Bar. Qin Yutong looked at the 5 big chests and let out a deep sigh. Why are you all bullying me? Inside Leisure Bar. Wei Chang and Dong Huangli were looking at each other, and the atmosphere was a bit strange. Tang Wei, who was standing behind Wei Chang, didn't know what to say either. Why did Uncle Wei suddenly go and make things difficult for a child? Green and red brothers were tied onto a stool, and black cloth was stuffed onto their mouths. Who knows what they were wiping? Big brother Green, woo. Imperial translation, if you have the guts, let's have a fight. Little brother Red, woo. Imperial translation, Beauty, do you want to know about non-mainstream? Dong Huangli pouted her mouth and said angrily, Uncle, you are a bad person. Who are you? Wei Chang asked seriously. Ollie is not going to tell you. Dong Huangli snorted and turned her head. Wei Chang continued asking, where did you come from? Not telling. Not telling. I won't say it even if you beat me to death. Veins were popping out on Wei Chang's forehead. It was clear that Wei Chang was angered quite a bit by little Ollie. However, before his honor returns, Wei Chang didn't dare to do anything to little Ollie. Gurgle, Dong Huangli's stomach let out a growl, and Dong Huangli, who was originally aggressive, immediately blushed. Dong Huangli's big eyes even took a glance at Wei Chang and Tang Wei. Pfft. Tang Wei was amused by Dong Huangli's expression. Dong Huangli is so cute. Big sister, don't think that just because you are beautiful, you can laugh at Ollie. Ollie hasn't eaten anything for an entire day. It is normal for her stomach to be growling, Dong Huangli snorted. Dong Huangli had a look of, you are all bad people, to actually laugh at a child's stomach that was growling. Wei Chang heaved a sigh of relief, little Tang, go get something. Okay, Uncle Wei. When Dong Huangli looked at the snacks in front of her, Dong Huangli swallowed her saliva. How dare you use delicacies to tempt Ollie? It's no use. Ollie will never surrender, she pursed her lips and vowed solemnly. Wei Chang was also amused by Dong Huangli's actions. Wei Chang picked up a French fry and placed it in front of Dong Huangli's eyes, then slowly shook the French fry. Dong Huangli's big eyes followed the French fry and turned around. Hungry? Dong Huangli said, hungry, they are all yours, eat as much as you want. Wei Chang said with a smile. Uncle, let go of Uncle Green and Uncle Red, they haven't eaten their fill for a few days. Dong Huangli begged. Wei Chang waved his hand, and the ropes that were tied to the Green and Red brothers fell off. The two regained their freedom and immediately ran towards Dong Huangli. Big Brother Green was protecting Dong Huangli, Little Brother Red was protecting the snacks on the table. Don't be nervous, I don't have any ill intentions, just eat. Wei Chang said faintly. I would be a fool if I believed you, you have already tied them up for an entire night, and you still dare to say that you don't have any ill intentions. However, the food is really delicious. Suddenly, a voice rang out from the doorway. Wei Chang, who are they? Qing Ye walked over while holding on to Yi Zizi's hand, and Qing Yutong, who was carrying a suitcase, followed behind them. Yi Zizi retracted the smile on her face and looked at Dong Huangli, who was eating on the table confusedly. Yi Zizi had the same feeling as Wei Chang. Lady boss, she. Wei Chang didn't know how to explain. Dong Huangli, who was gorging herself on the food, placed down the food that she was holding onto, then said to everyone with a smile, my name is Dong Huangli, Ollie. Qing Ye cried out in surprise. Qing Yutong directly threw down her suitcase and ran towards Dong Huangli. The corner of Yi Zizi's mouth twitched slightly. My opponent is actually so young. Are you Aunt Qing? Looking at Qing Yutong's excited expression and her voice, which was exactly the same as Qing Yutong's, Dong Huangli mumbled. Qing Yutong pointed at herself and said, that's me, I am Aunt Qing. The Green and Red brothers stood silently at the side. The three that came in are so beautiful, and one of them is such a lowly. From the looks of it, they seem to be very rich, and they seem to be very imposing. Dong Huangli's face could be seen collapsing as she hugged onto Qing Yutong. Ollie, I finally found you. Woo woo, Ollie, don't cry. Qing Yutong hurriedly comforted Dong Huangli, then took a look at the Green and Red brothers who were at the side. Just by looking at the way they dress up, I can tell that they aren't good people. They are definitely the ones who kidnapped little Ollie. Qing Ye walked over and said tenderly, Ollie, be good, don't cry. Ollie, don't cry, Ollie, be happy. Aunt Qing, as expected, all of you look very beautiful, all of you look exactly the same. This sentence was very pleasant to hear. Women wouldn't turn away from other people's praises. However, Chinya glared at her younger sister. Why aren't you changing your face? You are Aunt Yi. You are only a bit taller than Ali. Dong Huangli pointed at Yi Zizi and cried out in surprise. The corner of Yi Zizi's mouth twitched slightly. Don't call me aunt, I am only a bit taller than you. A little thing calling another little thing aunt, don't you think that's a bit hurtful? Big brother, their relationship is so complicated. Little brother Red said in a low voice. And, there are so many aunties. Yi Zizi looked around for a bit, then asked curiously, where is uncle? Chinya pinched onto Dong Huangli's little face and said tenderly, uncle is outside to buy something, he will be coming over very soon. Why do I suddenly feel that Ali looks a bit like, who does she look like? At this moment, Yihua walked in from the outside while holding onto a Chinese jianbing and said faintly, your breakfast. Just that, right after Yihua finished speaking, Yihua froze, as if his acupoints were poked by someone, and he stared blankly at Dong Huangli who was in Qin Yutong's embrace. Meanwhile, Dong Huangli was also staring blankly at Yihua. Chinya looked left and right. No wonder I felt that Ali looks like a person just now, doesn't she look like Yihua? However, Qin Yutong had the same thought as well. Don't look at how Ali looks like a person right now, her eyes, nose, and mouth are actually so similar to brother-in-law's. This is too mystical, right? She can't be brother-in-law's illegitimate daughter, right? Qin Yutong immediately understood the truth. However, Chinya didn't think that Yihua was an illegitimate daughter. In actuality, she didn't dare to think that way. Right now, Yihua's breathing was a bit hurried. This little girl actually has my aura, how is this possible? Chapter 199. Yihua, who had never been nervous before, right now, he seemed very nervous and confused. Dong Huangli didn't have so many thoughts in her mind, she just wanted to get closer to her uncle. Dong Huangli stretched out her little hands and shouted, Uncle, hug. Hearing the little girl's call, Yihua didn't think much and slowly walked over, then took over Dong Huangli who was in Qin Yutong's embrace. When Yihua carried Dong Huangli in his embrace, he discovered that their bloodlines were connected. Could she be my child? Did she pop out from the crack of a rock? Or did she grow out from a vine? Dong Huangli felt a very comfortable smell. She just wanted to hug Uncle, because Uncle smells so good, even better than Mother. Chinya's expression was a bit flustered. Looking at her, they look even more alike. Especially the gentleness on Yihua's face, and the intoxicated look on Dong Huangli's face. Chinya hurriedly shook her head and got rid of this impossible thought. However, did Yihua suddenly come back in a hurry just to see Ali? Wei Chang and Yi Zizi took a glance at each other. They seemed to have already realized something from his honor's appearance. Qin Yutong began to let out her rich imagination. My child has finally found her father. However, this also represented a terrifying matter, brother-in-law has another woman outside. Chinya immediately looked towards her big sister, and as expected, her expression wasn't very good. I reckon that big sister is thinking the same thing as me. Big sister hates men who are fickle in love the most, and she is even disgusted with dad having two women. Oh my god, if my guess is right, this will definitely be a family storm, and they might even divorce. Right now, all of Yihua's attention was placed on Dong Huangli who was in his embrace, and he didn't notice Chinya's abnormal expression at all. The atmosphere was a bit strange, no one dared to speak. Even Yi Zizi who liked to cause trouble was silent. After a long time, Yihua looked towards the green and red brothers. The latter was immediately startled, this man's gaze isn't very friendly. Wei Chang, drag them out. Yihua said coldly while carrying Dong Huangli, yes. Dong Huangli who was in Yihua's embrace said hurriedly, Uncle, don't chase them away. According to his previous attitude, Yihua would definitely not pay attention to them, and would even teach them a lesson. No one can disobey his words. Although Qinya appeared, right now, a second person appeared. Why? Yihua's tone wasn't very stiff. Uncle, it was Uncle Green and Uncle Red who sent Ollie over. If it wasn't for Uncle Green and Uncle Red, Ollie would have starved to death. Dong Huangli raised her head and looked at Yihua. I really like this uncle. I really want to stay in his embrace forever and never come out. Yihua took a look at the Green and Red brothers, then said faintly, Wei Chang, I will leave them to you. Yes. Although it was just a few short words, it was enough to change the fate of the Green and Red brothers. However, right now, the Green and Red brothers were completely confused. They had no idea how powerful the man in front of them was. If they were to escort his bloodline back, they would become the next death mage. This was not something money could compare to. Big brother, in any case, we were also hoodlums in the past, but now that we have been demoted, we have to become security guards. Little brother Red said quietly. If they went back now, they would be reluctant to part with Ollie. Big brother Green said in a low voice, let's wait and see first. If they don't treat Ollie well, we will take Ollie to see Papa and Mama. That's fine. We're still wanted criminals anyway. Let's hide for a while first. Yihua carried Dong Huangli and walked upstairs. When he passed by Qinya, Yihua held on to Qinya's tender and delicate hand. When the two of them disappeared from the top of the stairs, everyone let out a breath of relief. Wei Chang was still very happy. After all, his honor has gained another bloodline. These two non-mainstream people have made a great contribution. You two will follow me in the future. Wei Chang laughed loudly. This is a happy occasion, it is worth celebrating. Yi Zizi revealed out a sincere smile. With more and more of his honor's bloodline, it means that his honor will be able to create a brand new dynasty just like humans. Of course, this was not the main point, the bloody process was what Yi Zizi wanted. In actuality, Wei Chang's thoughts were more or less the same. Big brother Green patted onto his little brother's shoulder, don't be discouraged, you will be able to protect Ollie by being a security guard. I wonder how much a security guard will earn a month, will it be 2,000 RMB? Will the security guard provide food and accommodation? Little brother Red was very worried. Big brother Green looked towards Wei Chang and asked, Brother, there should be 5 types of insurance and 1 type of housing, right? Hearing what Big brother Green said, everyone laughed. Yi Zizi shouted out, there are 2 honest people here, everyone, quickly come and bully them. The only ones who would be able to survive in front of a group of monsters were the Green and Red brothers. Qin Yutong laughed tenderly, then looked upstairs worriedly and started to worry in her heart. Uncle, Ollie wants to sleep, Dong Huangli said while tightly hugging onto Yihua's neck. Yihua said gravely, go and take a bath first, then sleep. And, Qinya, carry Ollie and take a bath. Yihua handed Dong Huangli who was in his embrace over to Qinya. Alright, Yihua, go and buy a few sets of clothes for Ollie, while carrying on to Dong Huangli, Qinya said tenderly. Yihua nodded his head, then took out his phone and went to buy a few sets of clothes for Ollie. Aunt Qing, Ollie is able to take a bath by herself, there is no need to trouble you. Dong Huangli said sweetly, appearing to be very sensible. Qinya was also amused by Dong Huangli's adorable expression. No matter how many suspicions I have, they are still just suspicions, Yihua will not lie to me. Little Ollie, let's go and take a bath together, okay? Qinya tidied up Dong Huangli's hair and said tenderly. Then, can Ollie give Aunt Qing a back rub, of course. Ollie likes Aunt Qing. While laughing, Qinya carried on to Dong Huangli and walked into the bathroom. If it was any other time, Yihua, this jealous king, would definitely fly into a rage, but right now, Yihua didn't feel anything. Yihua took out a cigarette, then stood beside the window and lit it up. If Ali didn't sprout out from a crack in a rock, and didn't grow out from a vine, could it be that she was born? How is that possible? I have only touched 2 women. Thinking up to here, Yihua's gaze was filled with astonishment, and the cigarette in his hand was extinguished. That night 3 years ago, could it be that it was her? Thinking back to those few days when I was playing games, Ali said that she was almost 3 years old, and that her mother was very beautiful, but her father died. Damn it! This woman actually cursed me to die. Throwing away the cigarette, what's the point of thinking so much? I should just directly capture that woman and find out the truth. No. Qingya. Yihua's brows were solemn as he let out a heavy sigh. If Qingya were to find out about this matter, she would definitely quarrel with me. Just like during these few days when I was playing, whenever I took a look at other women, I would become extremely jealous and act coquettishly. Right now, it isn't the problem of me taking a look at a beautiful woman, and I even ended up having a child. Right now, it wasn't easy for me to train Qingya to be obedient. Could it be that I have to return back to how I was in the past? I, the Supreme Overlord, am actually being troubled by such a lousy matter. This damned human nature, I really want to go back to how I was before and return back to how I was before. For such a big matter, he had to gather his subordinates and hold a summit meeting. This is the most serious matter that I have ever encountered. Chapter 200. The Green and Red brothers who were in the lobby were very flabbergasted. Just a moment ago, they were still listening to Wei Chang's lecture, and suddenly, they said that they had a stomachache and went to the toilet, and then, the little loli upstairs also followed them and went to the toilet. Big Brother Green said in a low voice, "I feel that there's something wrong with Uncle Wei and the little loli." I think so too, that Tang Wei seems to be Uncle Wei's girlfriend. Little Brother Red was very curious. The bars in the big city sure are messy, they are too brazen. Big Brother Green rubbed his head. Our way of thinking is still too old-fashioned, and we can't keep up with the pace of the big city. That's right, I feel that I have already fallen in love with the pace of a big city. Little Brother Red said with a light smile. So this is what a big city is like, it's so open in the toilet. Subordinate pays respect to your honor. Subordinate pays respect to your honor. Subordinate pays respect to your honor. Wei Chang, Lai Gu, Yi Zizi, 3 of the 7 deadly sins were all present. Stop kneeling, the ground is dirty. Yihua said lightly. Thank you, Your Honor, for understanding us. The 3 stood up and shouted out. Pausing for a moment, Yihua took out a stick of cigarette and lit it up. You all should know about what happened today, right? Lai Gu also found out about this news from Wei Chang, and he was incomparably shocked in his heart. His honor's bloodline is already out, and I thought that it would take a few more months. Subordinate thinks that this is a happy occasion. For his honor to be able to reunite with little his honor, it is a very auspicious sign. Wei Chang said with a smile, and the other 2 nodded their heads as well. Yihua's brows wrinkled as he said gravely, Ali is indeed my bloodline, but the person who gave birth to her. Speaking up to here, Yihua looked towards his 3 subordinates. You 3 should know which woman it is, right? I don't know. Yi Zizi raised her hand and shouted. She looked as if she didn't want her to answer the question. However, Wei Chang and Lai Gu knew about this matter. Lai Gu said solemnly, Your Honor, since the matter has already happened, just bring that madam over. With your honor's lofty status, it is perfectly normal for you to have another woman. Wei Chang, what do you think? Yihua let out a mouthful of smoke and asked. Wei Chang pondered for a moment. This subordinate feels that this matter still needs to be discussed with Furen. Of course, there is also the matter of whether the other wife is willing or not. Right now, Wei Chang knew how to think from another person's point of view, and it was precisely because of this that he had yet to push Tang Wei down. Yi Zizi pursed her lips. What's there to be unwilling about? Just grab him and bring him over. Yi Hua glared at Yi Zizi, and Yi Zizi immediately shut her mouth. In the past, his honor didn't have so many worries. It would be great if it was that easy. This was the bad side of human nature. They had to take care of one side and appease the other. How troublesome. Lai Gu, how did you get those women together? Yi Hua asked faintly. For this kind of question, I still have to consult Lai Gu. After all, Lai Gu has 3 women, and it seems like they are still able to stay together peacefully. Lai Gu pondered for a while, then said respectfully, Your Honor, subordinate doesn't know either. In any case, I just pushed, and then, as I pushed, they all ended up together. Yi Zizi had a look of disdain on her face. Lecherous dragon. I am a human, this is a human's nature, all right. Lai Gu was unwilling to accept it and argued with Yi Zizi. Wei Chang said, Your Honor, subordinate feels that those who are able to catch Your Honor's fancy are definitely not ordinary women. Of course, we can't use ordinary methods to get them. Yi Zizi clapped her hands. I understand now. Gluttonous monster means that if Your Honor buys new clothes for Madam, Madam will accept Ali, am I right? Yi Hua, Wei Chang, Lai Gu, Wei Chang, what you mean is for me to not make a move for now? Yi Hua asked curiously. Wei Chang nodded his head, that's right, let Madam and Little His Honor get to know each other first, and let them develop a favorable impression of each other. Even if the matter is exposed, Madam Qingya wouldn't make things difficult for Ali, that makes sense. Yi Hua nodded his head. After remaining silent for a while, Yi Hua continued to ask, What do you guys think, should I accept that woman? Lai Gu raised his hand and answered. Speak. Lai Gu immediately said, Your Honor, subordinate feels that we must accept her. If Little His Honor is really born from her, then she should have a status. After all, Little His Honor is His Honor's bloodline, a mother's status depends on her daughter. Wei Chang and Yi Zizi were startled. There's nothing wrong with what Lai Gu said. Lai Gu, I am very happy that you decided to use your brain and not your lower body. Lai Gu smiled complacently. Who said that I only know how to use my lower body? Just look at how His Honor praised me. Your Honor, then, when are we going to invite the other madam over? Wei Chang asked the crucial question. Yi Hua stepped on the cigarette and said gravely, Wait for my order. Yes. 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 You guys can disperse now. Oh right, Wei Chang, take good care of those 2 non-mainstream people. Yi Hua instructed, then disappeared and appeared in the bedroom. Lai Gu went into a daze, then asked curiously, What non-mainstream people? The 2 humans who escorted His Honor's bloodline back. Wei Chang laughed. F***K, those 2 fellows got lucky, His Honor even specially instructed them to do so, formidable, formidable. Lai Gu gave a thumbs up, then disappeared from the toilet. Yi Zizi walked out of the toilet while yawning, and the green and red brothers who were outside immediately turned their heads around. Wei Chang walked to the front of the 2 and said, Do you guys want to continue protecting Ali? The green and red brothers looked at each other, then said in unison, Yes. Wei Chang was very satisfied with this answer. Yi Hua, who returned to his bedroom, heard the sounds of playing coming out from the bathroom, and the corner of his mouth slightly curved up. However, very quickly, the corner of his mouth fell back down. The woman from 3 years ago, and also Qingya, how did they suddenly hit the jackpot? This deity really never misses a shot. However, this was also good. The more bloodlines there were, the better. The only problem was how to allow them to coexist. Why is it that those humans can have groups of wives and concubines, but I can't? Let's wait and see first. If it doesn't work, then I will use forceful means. I, the Supreme Overlord, am not afraid of two women. Thinking back to the woman from 3 years ago, Yihua felt that the woman was still not bad. She was barely able to be his woman. Of course, he still needed to train her up a bit. After all, that woman was even more arrogant than Qinya. From how long she lasted, it could be seen that she was in a state where she was not willing to admit defeat. After a while, Qinya, who was wearing pajamas, came out with Dong Huangli. Dong Huangli was all smiles, and she seemed to be very happy. "Uncle, hug me." Yihua smiled lightly and hugged onto Li. Is this the feeling of a child? The feeling of wanting to take good care of her and protect her was so subtle. Right now, Yihua was finally able to understand the thoughts of those humans from 3 years ago. After killing the small, the big would come, and after killing the big, the old would come. If it was me, I would also do the same. Qinya let out a sigh of relief. Looking at Yihua and Li, they really look like father and daughter. I can't help but say, a woman's intuition is very scary. Uncle, Li doesn't want to sleep anymore. Li wants to play chicken with Aunt Yi and the others. Dong Huangli nestled in Yihua's embrace and said in a low voice. Because she was a bit afraid that her uncle would scold her. After all, her mother always scolds her. Yihua said lightly, "All right." Chapter 201. This caused Yihua to laugh out loud. Qinya, who was at the side, pouted her small mouth. When I want to play a few rounds with you, you are always unwilling. But when Li wants to play with you, you are acting like this. This is not fair. I want it too. Qinya was unwilling to accept it. Alright, Li will bring Aunt Qing to the chicken dinner. Dong Huangli clapped her hands and said with a smile. Yihua said faintly, your Aunt Qinya is very noob. It's alright, Li is already used to it. Qinya, you guys are such bullies carrying Li. Yihua walked into Qin Yutong's room, and sure enough, everyone was sitting together in the 4th row. And when Yi Zizi and Dong Huangli meet each other, a battle would definitely be unavoidable. Aunt Yi, you killed one less person than Li. Hee, don't call me aunt. I'm only 8 years old. Acting young, but you are Auntie Qing's little sister. If Li calls you big sister, then Li also has to call Auntie Qing big sister. Li feigned so confusing. Qinya and Qin Yutong couldn't help but laugh. Yihua sat at the side and silently looked at the 4 of them playing the game. In actuality, he was feeling very vexed in his heart. The appearance of Li was too unexpected, to the point that he didn't know what to do. From the looks of it, Qinya's position in my heart is already very high. If not, I wouldn't be feeling this kind of emotion right now. If it was when I first met Qinya, I definitely wouldn't have so many worries. No matter how strong he was, he would still have to give up when he encountered family problems. It was really hard to be a human. Being a human was indeed difficult, but being a skeleton was much more enjoyable. For example, the current death mage had been having a great time in Ying family for the past few days. He would play games with Sun Fang every day, and when he ran out of money, he would ask Do Fusher to calculate for him. In the end, he dug up the entire Ying family. Who would have thought that the Ying family's feng shui was such a treasured place, with good stuff everywhere? The people of the Ying family complained incessantly. Although the 2 of them didn't interfere with the internal affairs of the Ying family and only played games every day, if this continued, the Ying family would soon fall apart. It was infuriating, but they didn't dare to do anything to them. Especially that youngster. Every day, he would walk around Ying family with a compass, and as long as he was able to calculate something, he would ask Heavy Dust to directly dig it out. I really want to steal that compass. Fuck, those treasures were placed there by my Ying family's own people. Their goal was to create a man-made feng shui treasure land. The heavens want my Ing family to perish. Right now, within Ing family's side room, Death Mage and Sun Fong were lying on the bed with a solemn expression on their faces. Sun Fong could be heard mumbling, "Go and die, go and die," burp. After killing Sun Fong over 100 times, the Death Mage's warrior was finally defeated by Sun Fong's human wave attack. Looking at the fallen Death Mage on the screen, Sun Fong was stupefied. Gradually, her eyes turned red, and she started to choke with sobs. I finally killed it. He had finally gotten his revenge. Death Mage let out a sigh. In actuality, he had purposely fallen into Sun Fong's trap today. Seeing that Sun Fong was truly pitiful, he decided to give way to her. Sun Fong could be seen suddenly flipping her body over and riding on Death Mage's body, then smashed onto Death Mage's chest bone with her fists. Do you see this? I am going to kill you. Woo, woo, woo. All of the grievances he had suffered for the past month had exploded out. It was all because of it that he was mocked by everyone and even chased out of the Clouds sect. In the end, I found the culprit, but I was completely unable to kill him. Despair. At that time, I was really in despair, and I even had the heart to die. Although I am unable to kill you in reality, I will kill you in the game. The idea is good, but I was also killed by Death Mage over 100 times in the game. This time, I finally won, and I am finally able to ride on Death Mage's body. Death Mage stretched out his bony finger and wiped off the tears on Sun Fong's face, then quickly typed, "Wife, you look good when you cry, you have to cry more often in the future." Sun Fong's face turned red as she gave Death Mage a kick. "Cry your sister." Death Mage was kicked off the bed. What a violent woman. I am starting to like this woman more and more. At Ing family's main hall, the family members were currently having a meeting. Everyone's face could be seen to be filled with unwillingness and anger. Ing Shang glared at Ing family's main hall with a pair of bell-like eyes. His chest was heaving up and down as he shouted out angrily, "Big brother. This voidless realm is going too far." Ing Jingshan, who was sitting on the main seat, had an extremely bad expression on his face, and his eyes were completely bloodshot. The latest news that he received today was that the Empress was actually looking for a little girl, and that little girl was her daughter. Illegitimate daughter. I didn't expect that the Empress was actually such a person. If it wasn't for a single sentence from her, how could there be such a huge change in Ing family within 2 days? My son wouldn't have died, and wouldn't have brought an even bigger disaster to Ing family. What the Empress did was the same as toying with Ing family's dignity. Ing Kongsher's injuries were more or less healed. Right now, he was also sitting at the side and said hurriedly, "I won't blame the Empress for having an illegitimate daughter. As long as I marry her, everything will be fine." Hearing Ing Kongsher still saying such words, everyone couldn't help but want to slap him to death. It feels like you aren't a member of Ing family, and instead, you are the Empress's lackey. Ing Jingshan's bloodshot eyes bulged. "A voidless realm is simply provoking us. Although our Ing family is low profile, we will definitely not allow others to bully us like this. If the Empress doesn't give our Ing family an explanation, then let's have a fight." "Big brother, I agree." Ing Shang suddenly stood up and shouted out. Ing Kongsher hurriedly persuaded, "The Empress didn't mean to do such a thing. If you want to blame someone, blame those 2 women and that group of people. Vile creature." Ing Jingshan could be seen instantly appearing in front of his son, then sent him flying with a slap. "If not for the sake of your mother, I would have to kill you for what you said just now." Ing Kongsher held onto his cheek and looked at his father in disbelief. "Right now, we can only rely on the Empress. Both sides should work together to fight against the Empress. How can our Ing family bow down to others?" "Fight against who?" Sun Fong could be seen walking over with lotus steps, and behind her was Do Fusher. However, Death Mage didn't follow along, not knowing what he went to do. Today, Sun Fang was exceptionally beautiful, and it was as if she had returned back to that cloud sect master. Although her body was only wearing a simple muslin robe, she gave off a strong sense of confidence, and the smile on the corner of her mouth made people unable to take their eyes off her. As expected of the publicly acknowledged pampered girl, Sun Fang. This was also the reason why Sun Fang untied the knot in her heart and completed her revenge. Dou Fusher felt as if he was shooting up a rocket these few days. During the first 3 days, his head was buzzing non-stop. I didn't even manage to enter my family, but now, I consecutively jumped 3 levels, jumping over my family, and even jumping over the heads of the 3 big powers. The luckiest thing that happened in my entire life was that night when I went out to catch a ghost, and furthermore, I caught the wrong ghost. Although it was a bit embarrassing, but without the embarrassment on that day, I wouldn't have the face I have today. In family. Even one of the 3 big powers has to treat me respectfully. This is simply great. I must properly repay the evil ghost couple and help them earn more money to play games. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.